After failing the college entrance exam, I married Gu Lin and devoted 40 hard years to managing his household, yet after his death, he barred me from attending his funeral, leaving half his estate to our children and half to his first love. All I received was a single sentence: for that stolen college admission letter. I've repaid every debt with these 40 years. Turns out I never failed the exam. He stole my admission letter to curry favor with his precious white moonlight. I caused a scene at the funeral, denouncing 4 decades of injustice, only to be disowned by my own children. Dad and Aunt Lynn were meant to be. You're the one who butted in and ruined everything. Keep this up, and don't blame us for dumping you in the countryside to fend for yourself. I died of sheer rage, only to open my eyes and find myself back in my college entrance exam year. The acceptance letter was still on its way, and my life was just beginning. Su Hanmei. We're about to get married. What are you making a scene for? The familiar scolding voice jolted me awake from my dazed state. I can't believe I've gone back 40 years. Before marrying Gu Lin, before he stole my college acceptance letter. There's still time to change everything. Gu Lin kept yammering away in front of me. It's just a bowl of meat. Are you going to die without it? I've told you I only see Jiao Jiao as a sister. Must you think of us in such a filthy way? Keep this up and we might as well call off the wedding. Suppressing my emotions, I said coldly, then let's not get married. Those few words left Gu Lin frozen in place. Su Hanmei, what are you saying? I said let's call it off then. I snatched the meat from Gu Lin's hands, suppressing the murderous intent in my heart as I spoke. A spineless coward who'd feed his own fiancé to others. As if I'd ever want to marry you. Seeing me about to leave, Gu Lin grabbed me in a fit of rage. Su Hanmei, what's your problem? Who else would marry you if not me? With how dumb you are. Do you really think you're as smart as Jiao Jiao to get into college? You'd better face reality, or I won't even want you when you come begging to marry me. I slapped Gu Lin hard across the face and glared at him fiercely. Listen up, Gu Lin. Su Hanmei, won't settle for a man who can't keep his affairs straight. Before Gu Lin could react, I clutched that bowl of meat and stormed off. The stinging pain in my palm kept reminding me, this was all real. I've truly been reborn. In my past life, my grandfather never forgot how old man Gu saved his life. On his deathbed, he made my parents promise that if I failed college entrance exams, I'd marry Gu Lin. I remember my parents' expectations. I studied day and night, only to receive the crushing news of failing the Gaokao. Devastated, I drifted into marriage with Gu Lin in a daze. For 40 long years, I nursed Gu Lin's ailing mother, raised his siblings, and shouldered every household burden. I used to believe all my sacrifices were worthwhile, until Gu Lin's death, when I was barred from his funeral, and his entire estate went to his children and that woman who'd been entangled with him for half his life. He claimed marrying me was just his guilty conscience over stealing my college acceptance letter years ago. On his deathbed, he even had the nerve to say he owed me nothing. I should have gone to college, built my own career, and started a whole new life. But he ruined my entire life. For decades of backbreaking work left me with chronic illness, yet he claims I've been living the good life. Just thinking about it makes me want to grind Gu Lin's bones to dust. I rushed to the village post station, anxiously asking if my college acceptance letter had arrived. Uncle Wang fanned himself with a hand fan and waved dismissively. Why does everyone keep asking me when that college acceptance letter arrives? Such happy news. I'll let you all know immediately. Just be patient. Hanmei. One by one, I quickly sensed something was off and pressed for answers. Uncle Wang, you said people kept coming to ask. Who else has been inquiring? Uncle Wang gave me a strange look before teasing me again. Who else could it be? Just Gu Lin and Lin Jiqing. Didn't Lin Jiqing take the exams the same year as you? Gu Lin probably has you on his mind. He said if you passed, he'd wait for you a few years. If not, he'd submit the marriage application right away to make it official. Look how devoted he is to you, my dear Hanmei. He's such a fine young man. My fingers clenched involuntarily. Gu Lin played the perfect gentleman in public, making everyone believe he was deeply in love with me. No wonder in my past life, nobody could have imagined Gu Lin would stoop so low as to steal my admission letter for Lin Jiao. Slap. At this thought, I lowered my head, feeling my eyes grow moist. Uncle Wang, could I ask you for a favor? Please don't let Gu Lin take my things anymore. You wouldn't believe it. Today he insisted on taking the meat my mom made for me and giving it to Lin Jiao, saying she's frail and needs meat to recover, then calling a country bumpkin like me a boor that can't appreciate fine grain. What a waste giving it to me. Uncle Wang slammed his fan on the table, eyes blazing as he retorted. What kind of nonsense is Gu Lin spouting? What's wrong with being from the countryside? Hard-working folks deserve respect. Why should you give away what's rightfully yours? No way. I'm gonna have a serious talk with his mother about this. I quickly grabbed Uncle Wang's arm, putting on an exaggerated pout. Let's not bother with that. Aunt Gu's health is fragile. What if she gets seriously upset? He takes things openly. And who knows how much he's secretly given away without my knowledge. That's why I'm asking you, Uncle Wang, to keep an extra eye out for me. From now on, anything addressed to me must go to no one else but me. Consider this bowl of meat as a small token for troubling you, Uncle Wang. Uncle Wang tried to refuse, but after my persistent urging, he finally accepted it. With that matter settled, I carried the empty bowl back home. The moment I stepped inside, my parents gasped at the sight of the empty bowl in my hands. "Hanmei, you finished eating already?" I set down the bowl and shook my head. I gave it to Uncle Wang. Just as Mom was about to speak, an angry voice suddenly cut through the air. "Su Hanmei, what do you mean by that? What right did you have to give that meat to Uncle Wang?" I turned away with disdain. "What? I need your permission to use my own things." Mother held my hand and asked as well. "Hanmei, Gu Lin is right. Wasn't this meat meant for you to share with Gu Lin?" "How?" I silently clenched my fist, then curled my lips into a smile. "Gu Lin, why don't you finish what you were saying? You're taking my flesh to feed Lin Jiao, aren't you? Kept saying us country folks would just waste good food, that it should go to Lin Jiao to build her strength. What gives you the right to take our family's things to curry favor?" Flustered, Gu Lin immediately retorted. "What nonsense are you spouting? May lightning strike the liar dead where they stand." I immediately cut in, stepping closer to him. "Oh, you've got quite the silver tongue when speaking to me. Too scared to say that in front of your elders, Lin Gu. It's true your grandfather saved my grandfather's life. But my family has helped you plenty over the years, money when you needed money, food when you needed food. My father even lost the use of his hands saving your father. Surely the debt is repaid by now. Are you planning to leech off our family for 18 generations to come?" My parents' faces darkened the moment these words were spoken. This marriage arrangement was forced upon my parents by grandfather's deathbed appeal to filial duty. My parents knew perfectly well grandfather was using me as leverage to make them keep supporting the Gu family. Apparently Gu Lin wasn't that bad a guy, and with his grandfather threatening suicide, he finally agreed, but if they expected me to tolerate his mistress, they'd fight to the death before consenting. Seeing his parents' dark expressions, Gu Lin hurriedly interjected, "Su Hanmei, what nonsense are you spouting? There's nothing between Lin Jiao and me, you've got no right to gloat. Fail that exam, and this marriage will happen whether you like it or not." With those words, he stormed off in a rage. Father's expression darkened at Gu Lin's venomous words. "Hanmei, if you truly don't wish to marry, your father would rather die than let them force you." Mother held back her tears as she embraced me. How dare they treat my precious girl like this? The warmth of mother's embrace only made my heart ache more bitterly. That being said, filial piety has always been sacred in our village. Grandpa may be gone, but Grandma's still with us. Grandma always deferred to Grandpa's word. It wouldn't surprise me if she threatened suicide to force this marriage. The villagers' gossip alone would shame my parents to death. How could I bear to do this? I wiped my tears and comforted them. "It's alright, Mom and Dad, too. Once I get into college, no one in this village can say anything about it." Mom paused for a moment before catching on. "So you're delivering meat to Uncle Wang to prevent Gu Lin from playing tricks, but something this serious, even something this serious isn't beyond his capabilities." Dad stood up and ruffled my hair as he spoke. "Hanmei, leave this matter to your father. I know you'll pass the exam, and I won't let anyone take what rightfully belongs to you." I nodded firmly. "What?" For the next few days, my parents and I took turns keeping watch at the post station. Terrified Gu Lin might seize an opportunity. Meanwhile, Gu Lin and Lin Jiao weren't having it easy either. Lin Jiao was an educated youth sent to the countryside, and she'd hooked up with Gu Lin the moment she arrived. Whenever there was backbreaking work that Gu Lin couldn't do due to gender propriety, he'd always make me pitch in. I used to believe Gu Lin's words, thinking he worked so hard just to have Lin Jiao tutor his younger siblings. Once I saw through it, I naturally stopped doing those chores. Without my labor, Lin Jiao complained of exhaustion within days, forcing Gu Lin to reluctantly step in. But rumors began spreading, and Gu Lin was only home on leave, soon to return to military service. After much deliberation, he finally came to me. "Hanmei, I know I went too far with what I said before, but there's really nothing between me and Lin Jiao. She's leaving for college soon anyway. What could possibly be between us? I just wanted her to help tutor Xiaoyun and Xiaoya, that's all. You'll be their sister-in-law soon enough. Can't you just let this go?" I pushed him away impatiently and enunciated each word. "Stop acting so familiar. I'd sooner marry a pig or a dog than you." Pushed aside by me, Gu Lin snapped furiously. Su Hanmei, a vulgar woman like you could never get into college, you'll pay for this. I couldn't be bothered with Gu Lin and hurried off in the opposite direction. My heart finally settled when I spotted that familiar figure beneath the tree again. Just made it in time. In my past life, I happened to rescue a middle-aged man who'd fainted here while working. Thinking it was just a simple good deed, I gave my real name when asked and never gave it another thought. Only later did I discover this man was Song Pingwang, a heavyweight in military circles. After learning I'd saved him, Gu Lin exploited this debt to climb the ranks, eventually securing the position of commanding officer. Yet in our past life, he endlessly belittled me as worthless while boasting about other wives' powerful connections, deliberately burying this act of kindness. This time around, I won't let Gu Lin benefit from me ever again. With that thought, I quickly administered first aid to him just as I had in my past life. Soon enough, the man gradually regained consciousness. Thank you for saving me, little one. May I ask your name? I paused for a moment before responding with a smile. Not yet, Su Hanmei. It was nothing really. I've got to get to work now, so I'll be on my way. Without waiting for Song Pingwang's questions, I waved and left immediately. I never intended to exploit Song Pingwang. His reputation precedes him, a soldier of unyielding integrity. A man of his caliber doesn't deserve to die here. All I ask is that Gu Lin won't manipulate him with favors later. With that weight off my shoulders, I felt noticeably lighter. In the following days, Gu Lin was uncharacteristically subdued, and even Lin Jiao stopped flaunting his affections in my face. But as days passed, the admission letter still hadn't arrived. Eventually, even Uncle Wang couldn't help asking when he saw me coming to inquire, "Hanmei, maybe you just didn't make the cut." I knew that couldn't be true, so I quickly pressed further. "Uncle Wang, do you know if Lin Jiao passed the exam?" Uncle Wang shook his head and spoke up. "Not exactly, but someone saw Comrade Lin packing her things. They say although she didn't pass, her family came to take her home." The moment I heard this, alarm bells went off in my head. In my past life, Gu Lin insisted on giving my college admission letter to Lin Jiao because her family refused to help her return to the city unless she got into university on her own merit. How could things possibly change now? Suddenly, another possibility struck me, and I pressed further. "Uncle Wang. The mail carrier just left, didn't he?" Seeing Uncle Wang nod, I didn't waste another second and dashed toward the village entrance. I finally managed to stop the mail carrier just as he was about to leave at the village entrance. "Excuse me, I'd like to check if there's any express mail for Su Hanmei." The postman thought carefully for a moment and asked with confusion, "Wasn't it already picked up?" He claimed to be Su Hanmei's husband. I even asked your fellow villagers in Day Village. They all confirmed it was him. In an instant, blood rushed to my head with violent intensity. For a split second, I felt like I couldn't even catch my breath. Memories of past lives weighed heavy on my heart, and a surge of emotion drove me to dash toward the Gu residence. I passed many villagers along the way, but couldn't spare a moment to return anyone's greetings. I barged into the Gu residence and immediately spotted Gu Lin getting cozy with Lin Jiao. Without hesitation, I slapped Gu Lin hard across the face. "Gu Lin, where's my college acceptance letter?" My slap left Gu Lin's cheek burning red, while the villagers who'd rushed over at the commotion froze in shock. "Su Hanmei, what nonsense are you talking about?" Seeing so many people arriving, Gu Lin forced himself to appear calm as he shouted, "What admission letter? Looks like you've gone mad from failing the exams yourself." Seeing Gu Lin's shameless face, I couldn't help but shout in anger, "You're the crazy one. No wonder Uncle Wang couldn't get it. You stole my admission letter from the mailman, and you even made villagers believe you were my lover. How dare you call me your lover when we're not even married? Have you no shame?" At these words, someone in the crowd immediately spoke up. Speaking of which, Gu Lin did receive a package for Su Hanmei from the postman, but wasn't that item supposed to be given to Su Hanmei? Don't tell me you forgot to give it. Seeing the crowd growing suspicious, Lin Jiao quickly produced an envelope from nearby and said, "Here it is. I just got too busy and forgot to hand it over. That's all." I snatched it away, but when I opened it, there was nothing but a blank sheet inside. Gu Lin suddenly realized and sneered, "You think I'd withhold it for no reason? A blank sheet isn't exactly a treasure. You're the one who swapped the contents." Clutching the blank paper, I glared at Gu Lin. Just then, Gu Yon and Gu Yu came running over and shoved me aside, saying, "Nonsense. It's just a blank sheet of paper. Do you have any proof that my brother took your admission letter?" The villagers nodded in agreement and chimed in, "That's right. Gu Yon and Gu Yu are the most honest kids around. Hanmei dear, this must be some misunderstanding." Even my parents who rushed over seemed hesitant and urged me to leave. Seeing this, Gu Lin grew even more smug and sneered, "Su Hanmei, why do you despise me so much that you refuse to marry me, dreaming of becoming a golden phoenix and flying away, are you? But a sparrow will always remain a sparrow, it can never turn into a phoenix. You'd better wait patiently for my marriage proposal and marry me like a decent person should. I think the one who needs to come clean here is you." A stern voice rang out from behind, instantly drawing everyone's attention. All eyes turned to see a middle-aged man with an air of authority approaching. Well, look who we have here, little one." I stared blankly at Song Pingwang, never expecting him to show up at this moment. Gu Lin immediately shouted as if he'd caught me red-handed. "Perfect, Su Hanmei. I was wondering why you suddenly became so reluctant to marry me. So you found yourself another man. This guy could be your father's age. Have you no shame?" The villagers nearby began murmuring among themselves. Who on earth is this guy? You're right, why would Hanmei suddenly refuse to get married out of the blue? She couldn't actually have taken a fancy to this old man, could she? Who'd have thought? She always seemed like such an obedient girl. I'd reached my limit and was about to slap Gu Lin when he caught my wrist. "What's wrong? Can't handle the truth, Su Hanmei? Need I remind you it was my grandfather who saved yours? This engagement was settled long ago. Backing out now isn't an option. What admission letter? You're just daydreaming. Why don't you ask this old man to magically produce an admission letter for you?" As Gu Lin finished speaking, another voice suddenly cut in. "Gu Lin, do you have any idea who you're talking to?" Gu Lin's face paled the moment he recognized the visitor. "Company Commander Li, what are you doing here?" Li Mingjia's face twisted in disappointment and anger as he retorted, "Why am I here? You should be asking yourself what you've done. This is Commander Song." This female comrade saved Commander Song's life. Commander Song came specifically to express his gratitude, and here you are slandering her the moment Commander Song arrives. You've utterly disgraced our entire 17th company. Gu Lin's face instantly turned ashen, his expression becoming timid as he looked at Song Pingwang. "Chief Song. My apologies, I didn't realize it was you." Before Gu Lin could finish, Song Pingwang waved him off with a frosty expression, denying him further explanation. He turned to me and spoke gently. "Kid, are you sure he's the one who took your admission letter?" I nodded firmly. "Yes, it was him. Given how he's been tangled up with Lin Jiqing lately, I've got good reason to suspect he gave the letter to her." Hearing this, Lin Jiao immediately panicked. "Su Hanmei, what nonsense are you spouting? I earned this admission letter through my own hard work. How could it possibly be yours? Are you seriously trying to snatch it away just because the commander is here?" "Jiao Jiao," Gu Lin immediately snapped. "Don't talk nonsense. Chief Song would never be that kind of person." He turned his gaze toward me, his eyes carrying a hint of pleading. Hanmei, Jiao Jiao wasn't lying to you. That admission letter really belongs to her. I know you don't want to marry me, but you can't just deceive people like this. Gu Lin, stop falsely accusing me." I remained unmoved and said coldly, "If she didn't take mine, then why not just show the admission letter and check the name on it? Or are you thieves getting cold feet?" The villagers nodded in agreement, murmuring among themselves, "Exactly, whose is this anyway? Just check the name and you'll know. What's more, Uncle Wang told me that Gu's boy keeps sneaking May's things to curry favor with Lin Jiqing. Sucking up is one thing, but intercepting the mailman to steal someone's admission letter, that's a whole different story. There's definitely something fishy going on here." Everyone had thought I'd gone mad after failing the exam, but seeing Gu Lin and Lin Jiao acting so shifty made them all suspicious. Li Mingjie pressed further. "Gu Lin, what this comrade said is absolutely right. Can't you just take it out and check the names?" Under everyone's pressing questions, Lin Jiao stiffened her neck and blurted out, "That admission letter isn't with me." My expression darkened as I immediately demanded, "How could it not be with you?" Lin Jiao's eyes darted as she spoke up. "This isn't even my place. Why should I keep my admission letter here? Naturally, I used my home address. My parents wrote to say I got accepted." "What? Do you need me to take you home to verify it personally?" "Feel free to search my place if you don't believe me. See if you can find that acceptance letter." Seeing the smug looks on Gu Lin and Lin Jiao's faces, I instantly realized they'd been prepared all along. Commander Song was a military man after all. How could he possibly search a female comrade's quarters without solid evidence? Even if they did search, the evidence was probably long gone by then. Commander Song, who'd remained silent for some time, darkened his expression. "Gu Lin, do you really think college admission can only be determined by an acceptance letter?" I froze momentarily before turning to Chief Song with hopeful eyes, pressing urgently, "Chief Song, do you have a solution?" Chief Song stepped aside, revealing the person who'd been standing behind him, Principal Zhang. I looked at Principal Zhang in delighted surprise, momentarily at a loss. "Weren't you supposed to be back in the city? What brings you here now?" Principal Zhang patted my head affectionately and said with a resigned sigh, I was just about to head back to the city, then Commander Song happened to find me and asked about you, so I came along. With that, Principal Zhang turned a stern gaze toward Lin Jiao. Lin Jiao, must I spell it out for you? It was Su Hanmei who got into university. Not you. The school has official records. Did you really think you could attend college under Su Hanmei's name? Gu Lin's face turned deathly pale. He never expected I'd coincidentally save Chief Song and witness this scene. Even the lies he and Lin Jiao concocted were systematically exposed by the witnesses brought forward. Lin Jiao's face was a picture of panic. All her earlier arrogance gone as she trembled and clutched Principal Zhang's hand. Principal. That admission letter is rightfully mine. If it isn't, I'll have nowhere to go back to. I refuse to stay in this backwater any longer. Please, I beg you to give me this opportunity. Principal Zhang pulled Lin Jiao's hand away and said coldly, that's no excuse for taking Hanmei's admission letter. Return the admission letter immediately. Commander Song glared at Gu Lin with displeasure. The facts are clear. Gu Lin, do you still intend to shield her, this military promotion? Gu Lin grew visibly anxious at these words. His exemplary service had earned him Company Commander Li's favor. He would never ruin his own future for Lin Jiao's sake. Jiao, the admission letter is here. Get it back to Hanmei right now. No big deal. We'll just take the exam again next year. Gu Lin stared at Lin Jiao anxiously, urging her to produce the admission letter. Lin Jiao looked at Gu Lin in disbelief and shoved him away abruptly. Gu Lin, you make it sound so easy. Are you going to pay for it? You've fallen out with Su Hanmei. That means no money for your family. Where's my tuition supposed to come from? We'll figure out the money situation somehow. Gu Lin grew frantic, his gaze at Lin Jiao carrying a veiled threat. Do you really have to pick a fight with me right now? Spoiled by Gu Lin's constant pampering, Lin Jiao flew into a rage at the slightest threat. With a sudden movement, she unbuttoned her clothes and pulled out the admission letter from inside. I lunged forward to snatch it, but Lin Jiao was quicker. She tore the letter to shreds before my eyes. As the fluttering fragments settled on the floor, I couldn't help but slap her across the face. Lin Jiao, have you lost your mind? No one expected Lin Jiao to be hiding the admission letter on her person. In this era that prizes chastity and reputation, who would dare to search her? Lin Jiao clutched the side of her face I'd struck, her eyes burning with visceral hatred. I've lost my mind. If I can't have it, neither can anyone else. Su Hanmei, dreaming of college, keep dreaming. Staring at the shredded admission letters scattered across the floor, my heart bled with unbearable pain. Mom came over and couldn't bear to see me like this, so she gently supported me, just as I bent down to pick it up. Principal Zhang grabbed my arm to stop me. Hanmei, take it easy. Commander Song has already taken care of everything for you. I looked up at Chief Song in a daze, only to see him nod at me and say, when I first learned you hadn't received your admission letter, I immediately had Tsinghua University send you a replacement. I gave specific instructions about that letter. They were to deliver it directly into your hands. Young lady, you earned your place at this university. It's only right that you attend. My eyes welled up as I repeatedly bowed to Chief Song in gratitude. Chief Song, thank you so much. My parents wept with joy and kept thanking Chief Song and the others. The villagers watching nearby also breathed sighs of relief, offering me their congratulations. How wonderful. Little May gets to go to school now. Our day village has finally produced a college student. Exactly. Who says our village can't produce a golden phoenix? May here is our very own golden phoenix. In stark contrast to the jubilant atmosphere, Gu Lin and Lin Jiao's faces were twisted in utter dismay. After all their scheming, not only did they fail to steal my university spot, but they completely ruined their own futures and reputations in the process. Everyone tacitly ignored them, and my parents insisted on inviting Commander Song and his party to our home for dinner. Unable to refuse their parents' hospitality, Chief Song and his companions reluctantly agreed. The group soon departed, leaving behind Gu Lin and his sullen-faced entourage. Back home, my parents specially bought meat and brought out their long-cherished liquor, insisting on sharing drinks with Chief Song's party. After the meal and drinks, my father turned to me and said, my daughter has finally made it through the hard times. Commander Song, you wouldn't believe it. She's been talking about doing great things and serving the country since she was little. She could have taken the exams year after year. I'd have supported her no matter what, but that arranged marriage left her with just this one shot. Dad said while wiping away his tears. I looked at him helplessly and comforted him. Dad, why bring this up now? Anyway, I got accepted now and won't have to marry Gu Lin. The best is yet to come. Chief Song patted my father on the shoulder while looking at me with admiration. Hanmei is absolutely right. Just as plum blossoms thrive through winter's chill, Hanmei will surely achieve great things in the future. I happen to know some people at Tsinghua University. I'll ask them to keep an eye on Hanmei for you. Don't worry about it." With Chief Song's reassurance, my parents finally felt at ease. After dinner, Chief Song left me his number and told me to reach out if I ever needed help. After saying goodbye to Chief Song and the others, my parents cheerfully started preparing my college essentials. Gu Lin couldn't accept me leaving for college just like that, and shamelessly came crawling back to me. "Hanmei, let's get married after you graduate from college." Holding my acceptance letter, the last shred of patience I had for Gu Lin completely vanished. "Gu Lin, how can you be so shameless? We agreed back then that if I got into college, this engagement would be called off. Didn't you say I was too stupid to pass the exams? That you'd never stoop to marry me? Let me make this clear, I'm the one rejecting you." After cursing out Gu Lin, I completely ignored him. He went to Grandma again, trying to use Grandpa's dying wish to pressure her into forcing me to marry him. But when Grandma heard what Gu Lin had done, she chased him out with a broom. "You little brat, you stole my granddaughter's college acceptance letter. How dare you bring up the marriage proposal again, after all this?" The Gu family's reputation in the village was completely ruined. Whenever any Gu family member stepped outside, villagers would inevitably gather and gossip behind their backs. Old Mrs. Gu's already poor health took a turn for the worse after this humiliation. Gu Yun and Gu Yu used to be well liked in the village for their adorable cleverness, and people readily believed their words without hesitation. Now that the truth came out, the mischievous village kids started calling them little liars outright. Being young and sensitive, they couldn't handle the teasing, which only deepened their resentment toward Gu Lin and Lin Jiao. Back when our family supported the Gu household, Gu Lin could still spare a good portion of his monthly stipend for Lin Jiao. With things in such a mess, my parents naturally refused to help any further. The medical bills for Gu's mother, clothing and school expenses for Gu Yun and Gu Yu, all these burdens fell squarely on Gu Lin's shoulders. He tried to get Lin Jiao to contribute some emergency funds, but she flat out refused. They argued repeatedly, nearly taking their dispute to the village chief. Mom told me all this, furious at the Gu family's actions. She took grim satisfaction in seeing their misfortunes. I hugged Mom and tried every way to convince her not to dwell on it. What happens to them doesn't concern us anymore. Better days are ahead. I wanted to let it go, but forgot some people weren't willing to. That day as I was about to clock out, my steps grew unsteady after just a few paces. Meanwhile, an inexplicable heat began spreading through my entire body. Instinctively bracing against the tree, I looked up to see Gu Lin standing before me. It hit me instantly. He drugged me. Bullshit. Gu Lin, you're despicable. How dare you resort to such underhanded tricks? Gu Lin glared at me with pure hatred, his voice dripping with venom as he spoke. "Su Hanmei, you brought this upon yourself by being so damn stubborn. Wouldn't it be easier if you just married me like a good girl? Why must you insist on attending that university? You're humiliating me in front of General Song. Don't you realize I was about to get promoted after this assignment?" I forced myself upright, gasping for breath as I spoke. "Gu Lin, don't think I don't know what you're scheming. Aren't you just counting on my parents to keep supporting your dump of a family out of respect for me? Be honest with yourself. How much of your monthly allowance actually goes to your own family?" Gu Lin sneered mockingly. "So what? Blame your grandfather for this. He's the one who said you wouldn't have to marry me if you got into college. You owe this to our family. This isn't just about your father's missing hand or your marriage. Your whole family should be repaying our family's kindness. We could have had a proper marriage, but you forced my hand." I turned to run, only to be shoved to the ground by Lin Jiao, who appeared out of nowhere. "Why waste your breath talking to her? Hurry up and get it done." My eyes widened when I saw Lin Jiao. "Lin Jiao, why are you siding with Gu Lin? You ruined me. Did you really think I'd let you off easy?" Lin Jiao shot me a venomous glare. "Su Hanmei, you're staying right here to get married, like it or not." Clutching the grass, I glared at Gu Lin and said, "You wouldn't dare. If you do this, I'll report to Commander Song. You can forget about staying in the military." Lin Jiao bent down and patted my face with a mocking laugh. "Su Hanmei, did you really think we hadn't anticipated this?" Gu Lin drank the medicine too. "We'll just say the kids were fooling around and accidentally spilled the powder into your water. It was all just an accident. Who would ever believe you? Unlike you, caught fooling around with a man in public, willing or not, you'll marry or face the ducking stool." Flames seemed to consume every drop of moisture in her body, setting her very blood to boil. I gritted my teeth and bit my lip hard, using the sharp pain to cling to my last shred of sanity. On the other side, Gu Lin's gaze grew clouded, his eyes burning with undisguised lust. Lin Jiao crouched on the ground, staring at me with smug satisfaction. "Su Hanmei, don't even dream about anyone coming to save you. I've sent everyone away. You could bite your lips raw and scream yourself hoarse. No one will come to save you. Su Hanmei, you'll stay here for the rest of your life. This is your fate. Lin Jiao's maniacal laughter echoed in my ears, transporting me back to her identical demeanor at Gu Lin's funeral in my past life. Though we were the same age, she appeared 20 years younger than me. Her poised elegance stood in stark contrast to my own near-hysterical state. I remember vividly how she sauntered over to flaunt her triumph in my face. Su Hanmei, what does it matter that you've been married to Gu Lin for 40 years? He only married you to get a housemaid, someone to care for his parents, raise his siblings, and manage every household chore. He told me himself, I'm nothing like you. You were born to serve others. Unlike me, I'm meant to be pampered. Come to think of it, I should thank you for letting me enjoy all these wonderful years with Brother Gu. I was shaking with rage and raised my hand to slap her, but my own children shoved me to the ground. Dad and Aunt Lin are truly meant for each other. Mom, why don't you look at yourself in the mirror? I'd be embarrassed to call you my mother. How Dad's funeral and estate are handled is his business. What gives you, who did nothing, any right to interfere? Dad was right all along. We spoiled you rotten with an easy life. They sided with the person who ruined my life, stabbing every word like knives into the most vulnerable parts of my heart. They literally angered me to death. My final moments were spent hearing them complain about the bad luck of my passing, after being reborn and accomplishing so much. How could I possibly resign myself to relive that tragic ending? I tilted my head to watch Gu Lin staggering toward me in delirium, my gaze locking onto the rock beside Lin Jiao. A surge of unnatural strength coursed through me. The instant before Gu Lin could seize me, I snatched the rock and smashed it against Lin Jiao's skull. Lin Jiao crumpled limply to the ground, and with my last ounce of willpower, I desperately scrambled to my feet. Gu Lin pounced on Lin Jiao, frantically tearing at her clothes. The sudden assault left Lin Jiao dazed, but she quickly snapped back to reality and clutched at her garments. Gu Lin, open your eyes. I'm not Su Hanmei, let go of me. At first she tried to reason with Gu Lin, but they'd overdosed the acting powder for authenticity, leaving him completely beyond reason. His years in the military gave him more than enough strength to overpower Lin Jiao with ease. Lin Jiao finally panicked, sobbing and begging Gu Lin to release her. She even turned to me pleading for help. Su Hanmei, save me. I was wrong. Please, I beg you to save me. I threw the rock I'd used to hit her onto the ground. A flicker of hope crossed Lin Jiao's face as she desperately crawled toward it, intending to knock Gu Lin unconscious just as I had. But the moment her fingers grazed the stone, Gu Lin violently yanked her back and tore her clothes open. I turned away, ignoring the screams and curses behind me, and walked step by step toward the other side, avoiding the crowd. I went straight home and submerged myself in the water vat. In the final moments before losing consciousness, I saw my mother drop her farming tools and rush toward me in panic. Don't call for help. After uttering those words, I completely blacked out. When I came to, my anxious parents were hovering over me. Hanmei, thank goodness you're awake. Thank goodness. Mother had been badly frightened, but now she finally relaxed. I managed a faint smile and said guiltily, Dad, Mom, I'm sorry for making you worry. Mom shook her head and stroked my hair as she spoke. Is it Gu Lin and Lin Jiao again? Before I could even ask, my father chimed in from the side. Gu Lin and Lin Jiao got caught having an affair in the grove. They say they were practically glued together. Isn't that field near where you work? Hanmei, I nodded and told my parents everything that had happened. Hearing this, Mom pulled me into a tight hug and said with heartache, silence. Those two bastards still won't leave our Hanmei alone. Father looked at me with concern and said, Hanmei, I'm afraid they'll pin this on you. Why don't you stay with your grandmother for a while? Your mother and I can handle the work here. 5. I shook my head and spoke aloud. There's no escaping this. If I leave now, it'll only confirm their suspicions. Right on cue, a commotion suddenly erupted outside the house. Su Hanmei, get out here this instant. I quickly dressed and followed my parents to the front door. There stood Madame Gu, a rare sight, blocking the doorway with Gu Lin and Lin Jiao, surrounded by nosy villagers eager for drama. You shameless little hussy. Su Hanmei, the moment she saw me, Mrs. Gu flew into a rage and started yelling, how dare you scheme against my son? Already furious, my mother immediately pounced on Mrs. Gu, pinning her down while grabbing her hair and slapping her twice across the face. Who do you think you're cursing with that filthy mouth of yours? What does your son's mess have to do with my daughter? Say that again and I'll rip your mouth off. Gu Lin tried to intervene, but his father blocked him outright. With Mrs. Gu in poor health and Gu Lin still drugged, they stood no chance against my parents in a fight. The villagers quickly intervened, speaking in a placating tone. Let's talk this through calmly. What's all this commotion about? Gu Lin glared at me with hatred and spoke, Su Hanmei, how dare you drug me and Lin Jiao, where's your proof? I looked calmly at Gu Lin before me and sneered, Erniu, tell us, did Su Hanmei order you to bring that water? Gu Lin shoved Aunt Li's son, Ernyo, forward and pointed at me while demanding. Ernyo stole a cautious glance at me before nodding hesitantly. It's her. She told me to bring water to Brother Gu and Lin Jiqing. The moment these words were spoken, the room erupted in uproar. Facing a sea of skeptical and scornful gazes, I let out a derisive snort. Ernyo, you claim I ordered you to administer the poison. Then tell me, where and what did I offer to make you comply? Li Ernyo stiffened his neck and answered immediately, on that little mound behind the mountain, you gave me a candy, saying it was just to quench Brother Gu and educated youth Lin's thirst. I didn't know there was anything harmful in it. I stared at Li Ernyo and pressed further, what candy? Hand it over, Gu Lin said urgently, that candy was finished long ago. Su Hanmei, are you still trying to deny it? I grabbed Li Ernyo's shoulder, my expression suddenly darkening as I spoke. Ernyo, you must have kept the candy wrapper after eating it, right? You mentioned the location, but not the time. Was it during dinner yesterday, or lunch the day before? Remember, little liars get eaten by monsters. I made a scary face that sent Li Ernyo crying and immediately spitting out the candy wrapper. This is the one. It was during last night's dinner. I released the terrified Li Ernyo and picked up the candy wrapper from the ground. This candy. I remember you specifically brought it back, didn't you, Gu Lin? Back then, Gu Yun and Gu Yu were bragging around the village, saying they only shared it with Lin Jiao and themselves. The others didn't get a single one. Besides, I was helping Aunt Lu move her things during dinner yesterday. Gu Lin, how dare you blame your own dirty deeds on me? Seeing things going south, Aunt Li immediately demanded angrily, Ernyo, tell me the truth. Who the hell told you to drug her? Li Ernyo trembled in fear and whispered, it was Brother Gu. He told me to give it to Sister Hanmei, but I genuinely had no idea the water was spiked. Brother Gu accused me of harming people, said he'd turn me into the police if I didn't help him. With the truth now exposed, Aunt Li immediately lunged at Gu Lin and Lin Jiao in a rage. You shameless pair, how dare you drag our Ernyo into your dirty schemes? You think I've gone soft these days? When Mother Gu tried to intervene, Aunt Li ended up scratching her face instead. In the end, the whole Gu family was utterly humiliated. Lin Jiao's virtue was compromised, leaving her no choice but to marry Gu Lin. Rumor had it that Lin Jiao's parents initially wanted her to marry for a dowry, but she stubbornly refused by insisting on pursuing higher education. Upon learning she'd not only failed the college entrance exam but also given herself to Gu Lin, they severed ties with her in fury. When Gu Lin tried to shirk responsibility, Lin Jiao threatened to report him, forcing him to file a marriage application. The wedding day turned into quite a scene when Gu's mother tried to put Lin Jiao in her place, but Lin wasn't one to take insults lying down. They ended up having a very public shouting match, though I didn't witness any of this firsthand. On their wedding day, my parents put me on the train heading to university, stepping onto the campus I'd dreamed of for what felt like lifetimes. I cherished every single moment of my college life. I studied like my life depended on it, seizing every opportunity to better myself. Later, riding the wave of China's reform and opening up, I plunged into business and soon made my first fortune. As my business grew, I bought a home in the city and planned to bring my whole family to live with me. Grandma refused to come, insisting on staying in the countryside, so I could only bring my parents to the city. It wasn't until a decade later that I returned to the village, this time to arrange Grandma's funeral. During this visit, I finally learned about Gu Lin and his family's recent circumstances. With Gu's mother in poor health, all household chores fell upon Lin Jiao's shoulders. Spoiled rotten and now pregnant, Lin Jiao refused to lift a finger, passing all tasks to Gu Yun and Gu Yu instead. While boiling water, the two of them lost grip of the pot, causing the entire pot of scalding water to spill. Gu Yun's hand was crushed, while Gu Yu suffered severe burn scars across most of her face. Upon learning this, Gu Lin had a violent argument with Lin Jiao, which even escalated to physical blows. What are you implying? Already fed up with Madame Gu's passive-aggressive remarks, Lin Jiao snapped and filed a formal complaint that got Gu Lin fired and sent back to their village. Gu Lin had sky-high ambitions but couldn't land a decent job, constantly bickering with Lin Jiao day in and day out. Their mother lost her life amid their endless blame-shifting. Gu Yun left home without a word, while Gu Yu, scarred on her face, ended up marrying a widowed butcher from the neighboring village, severing all ties with them. Wouldn't it have been better to just live an honest life from the start? The neighbor aunt sighed as she recounted this to me. I heard they were recently diagnosed with cancer. I gave my aunt a faint smile and said, who knows, Just as I was leaving after Grandma's funeral arrangements, Gu Lin suddenly appeared and stopped me. His hair was streaked with gray. His face noticeably aged, yet his eyes sparkled with uncontainable excitement. Hanmei, you've been reborn, haven't you? I was wrong in our past life. This time, let's do it right. That wretched Lin Jiao, vain and shallow, could never hold a candle to you. My bodyguard blocked Gu Lin as I covered my nose in disgust. Where did this lunatic come from? Stay away from me with that stench. Gu Lin froze on the spot. These were the last words he'd said to me in our past life. For 40 years, he'd complained about smelling some peasant stench whenever he got close to me, treating me with nothing but contempt. That wasn't my stench, it was the foul odor of his rotten soul. I ignored Gu Lin's furious shouts. His rebirth came at just the right time. Before his illness claims him, let him fully taste the ending he truly deserves. As the car started, winter jasmine bloomed vibrantly by the roadside. My own spring had only just begun. Story 2, on his deathbed. Xing Ziki was asked by reporters, Professor Xing, what's your greatest regret in life? He replied, I should never have indulged Jiang Yanshu's emotional blackmail by marrying her. It cost me a lifetime with Wan Wan. Now all I can do is leave my patents and entire estate to Wan Wan as compensation. The emotional blackmail he referred to stemmed from him eloping on college entrance exam day, only to crash head-on into a truck. I happened to witness this scene on my way to the exam hall and instinctively rushed over to push him out of harm's way. He walked away unscathed, while I ended up paralyzed for life. Later, sensationalist media tracked me down and asked what I regretted most. I smiled wryly, perhaps, regretting that I said yes when he proposed out of guilt, and ended up devoting my entire life to him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been so insecure about lacking a degree that I credited him with all my research achievements over 3 decades. The moment the words left my mouth, I blinked, and found myself back on the day of the college entrance exams. I paused mid-step and took a different route to the examination hall. He regretted losing a love. I regretted losing my future. In this life, we'll go our separate ways and never cross paths again. When that deafening crash echoed again, every hair on my back stood on end. That same explosion in my past life turned my entire world upside down. Xing Ziki eloped with his sweetheart on college entrance exam day, only to collide head-on with a freight truck. In that critical moment I happened to witness. After growing up together for over a decade, I didn't hesitate before rushing forward to shove him out of harm's way. Saving him cost me permanent paralysis. Yet in that past life, I still met a tragic end. Held hostage by gratitude, those 4 cold words became the epitaph of my entire existence. Given a second chance at life, I never broke stride, pivoting without hesitation onto a new path as I strode decisively into the examination hall. 3 years of relentless studying finally paid off. Every answer on that test paper was a testament to my hard work. The moment I stepped out of the exam hall, I saw my parents waiting anxiously. Yanshu, you're finally done. Xing Ziqin was in a car accident. Your father and I are going to see him. Do you want to come? I feigned surprise but shook my head without hesitation. The road outside the school was crawling with traffic cops, practically one every 10 meters. How could he possibly get into an accident on his way to take the college entrance exam? You guys go ahead. I need to prepare for tomorrow's exam. In my past life, I took Xing Ziki's place in that car crash while he turned his life around and went on to take the college entrance exam day. I was in a coma at the hospital for a week. Rumor has it he couldn't even be bothered to visit me during the entire exam period. Fine, I have no reason to waste any more time on him. After studying late into the night, I took several exams back to back. Fortunately, I never stopped learning in my past life because of my research work. It wasn't until I finished grading my exam and met my target score that I finally felt the tension ease. There was no avoiding visiting Xing Ziki any longer. After just 3 days apart, Xing Ziki's parents seemed to have aged a decade. Uncle Xing's hair turned white overnight, while Aunt Zhou's eyes were swollen like walnuts. I couldn't help but glance at my own parents. In my past life, I was the one who got hurt, and they were the ones who suffered. Thankfully, in this lifetime, everything has been set right. Aunt Zhou burst into tears again the moment she saw me. Yanshu, Ziki will never be able to go out with you again. The doctor said it's a miracle Ziki survived it all, but he'll most likely never walk again. I tried to look appropriately grief-stricken, but my mind kept drifting to memories from my past life. In that previous life, I was the one who became paralyzed. That very summer, Xing Ziki proposed to me. We grew up together as childhood sweethearts. It'd be a lie to say I never had feelings for him, but watching him kneel before me, I shook my head. I won't let you marry me out of guilt, Xing Ziki. I know there's someone else you love. My refusal came from the heart. Yet he only answered with a mocking laugh, Jiang Yenshu, do you really think I'm an idiot? After all this, can't I see who truly cares for me the most? You nearly died saving me. I genuinely want to marry you. Ever since the paralysis, I've been adamantly against using a wheelchair, but that time, he defied doctors, nurses, and both our parents, carrying me on his back to stroll through the park near the hospital. You must be going stir-crazy staying indoors for so long, Jiang Yenshu. Let me be your crutch from now on. I'll be your lifelong support. His words moved me, and I foolishly believed I'd found true love. Yet before 3 years of marriage had passed, he grew weary of this life. My lower body paralysis causes constant incontinence. I've lost count of how many times I've heard him say, a grown man soiling himself daily, these hands were made for research, not cleaning up your filth. He's a tenured professor at a top-tier university, leading multiple research projects, but when I casually browsed his files, I discovered his experiment to accelerate muscle necrosis in paralyzed patients, deliberately inducing rapid complications. The moment I saw it, my blood ran cold. This perfectly illustrates how small favors create gratitude while large ones breed resentment. But karma caught up with him. His distraction during the experiment caused a lab fire. Everyone managed to escape, except for him who got trapped inside. I always believed karma would catch up with scum, but never imagined his dying wish would be leaving everything to that white moonlight who convinced him to elope during college entrance exams. My life's greatest regret was yielding to Jiang Yenshu's emotional blackmail to marry her, making me miss a lifetime with Wanwan. Now, all I can do is compensate Wanwan with my patents and inheritance. If possible, I'd rather bear all suffering than spend my life with someone I never loved, a bedridden cripple like me, stripped of inheritance. My fate was all too predictable. 2. When I opened my eyes again, I'd been reborn. I won't exploit past favors. Nor do I want any further entanglement with him. In this lifetime, I really want to see if these star-crossed lovers can finally make it work. Oh Yenshu, stop pacing around, you're making me dizzy. My mom tried to pull me down to sit, while Aunt Zhou choked up and said, they've always been so close. Yenshu's just too worried to stay still. I gave an awkward laugh and didn't explain. It's not that I can't sit still. It's just that I've been sitting for so long in my past life. I've nearly forgotten what it feels like to move freely. Just as we were talking, several doctors and nurses suddenly rushed into the ward. What's going on? The patient's awake. They pressed the call button themselves. The group rushed in, with Aunt Zhou and Uncle Shin on the verge of tears, while my mother couldn't bear to look and turned her head away. Only I kept staring at him for a long time. Shinziki's head was wrapped in thick bandages, both legs completely cast in plaster. He looked like a mummy. Through him, I seemed to see my past self. How tragic. I'm not worth this suffering. Shinziki's lips parted slowly, laboriously forming the word mom. Aunt Zhou sobbed loudly by the bedside, yet Shinziki's gaze wandered restlessly across every face in the room. He was searching for Li Wanwan. Son, just rest now. Don't think about anything else, just get some proper rest. Shinziki nodded slowly. And only after a long pause did he notice something was off with his body. He looked at his legs and broke into a grin. Mom, why's my leg wrapped up so sloppily? Take a photo for me. I want to post it on Moments. The people in the hospital room exchanged glances. Aunt Zhou couldn't bring herself to break the terrible news, so she just took out her phone and snapped a picture for him. But the moment she placed the phone in his hands, Aunt Zhou rushed out of the ward with reddened eyes. Unable to hold back her emotions. What's wrong with my mom? Nobody knew how to respond, but Shinziki was sharp. He quickly sensed something was off. He panicked briefly, yet managed to say, why the long faces? Surviving disaster means good fortune awaits. Isn't that the saying? Uncle Shin wiped his face with his hand. Yes, yes. His voice cracked with emotion as he spoke, finally making Shinziki genuinely panic. What's wrong with me? Tell me. Damn it. The room fell silent. But a twisted sense of satisfaction rose within me. I said with a hint of vindictiveness, the doctor said you'll most likely be paralyzed for life. Shinziki froze in shock. His dying words from his past life had manifested. Karma came full circle. But for some reason, he didn't look happy at all. He frantically pounded his leg with his other hand. No way. How could I be paralyzed when I'm already awake? I'm only 18 years old. Uncle Shin rushed to restrain him in alarm as Shinziki broke down in hysterical sobs. Dad, I'm only 18. I'd rather die than live paralyzed. Stop the treatment. I don't want to live anymore. I really don't. I lowered my gaze to hide the coldness in my eyes. He chose this path himself. Every single decision was his own making. Why is he never satisfied no matter the outcome? 3. Out of family friendship. My mother cooked for Aunt Zhou's household, leaving meal deliveries to me. My visits were the only time Aunt Zhou could step out for fresh air, but after a week in hospital, Shingziki remained listless. Are you eating or not? I'm running out of patience. If you're not eating, I'll tell Mom not to cook. It's sweltering to cook in summer. Shingziki avoided answering and instead looked up at me, saying, has Li Wanwan contacted you? I chuckled. Why would she contact me? Shingziki's face flashed with urgency again. She wants to visit me. But she'd feel awkward around my parents. You're the only one she can reach out to. If she does contact you, tell her I'm doing fine and not to worry. Say it's my fault. I broke my promise. I failed to take her to someplace where nobody knows us when it mattered most. Truly, the difference between love and its absence couldn't be more obvious. Just thinking about my past life makes my blood boil. So I ended up eating my mom's cooking by myself. Then I poured cold water on his enthusiasm. You're overthinking it. They probably never wanted to leave in the first place. Shingziki froze for a moment, a flicker of confusion flashing in his eyes. What do you mean? At this point, stop trying to sow discord between us. I looked up at him and found his behavior utterly ridiculous. Li Wanwan took the college entrance exam in the same testing center as me. Besides, what would I gain from driving a wedge between you two, right now? Nothing would please me more than seeing those two stuck together for good. No one understands the agony of paralysis better than I do. Endless bedsores, wasting muscles, lying in your own filth waiting to be cleaned. If left unattended, that stench lingers right under your nose. Over time, the smell seeps into your very being. I'm dying to see if Shingziki's lifelong sweetheart can truly remain devoted to him till the end. Why would Wanwan take the college entrance exam? We'd agreed to. The word elope never quite made it past his lips. When I left, he was still staring blankly at his phone. The moment I closed the door, I heard him hastily making a phone call. Hearing Li Wanwan's voice made me freeze in my tracks. Who is it? Shingziki's voice trembled with emotion. Wanwan, it's me. I was in a car accident. Sorry, I promised we'd elope together, but I can't make it. You didn't wait too long. Did you? See, that's love, even after a car accident. You'd still feel guilty for breaking a promise. Without love, even if I became bedridden for him, he'd still think I had ulterior motives. The next second, Li Wanwan's raised voice rang out. What elopement? Shingziki, don't spread nonsense. A girl's reputation matters. You had the car accident on your way to the college entrance exams. It's got nothing to do with me. Got it. I couldn't help but laugh. After the call ended, Shingziki's choked sobs soon filled the hospital room. I left carrying the lunchbox. Couldn't even last a week. Yet there's a whole lifetime ahead. With results coming out in about a week, I started scrambling to research schools and plan applications. My mom insisted on cooking for Shingziki, but he'd always sulk and refuse to eat when she delivered the meals. Back in the day, I'd pull out all the stops just to get him to eat. Now I only ask once each time. If he won't eat it, I'll happily finish it all myself. Even my mom noticed something was off. Why does Ziki look skinnier these days while you've clearly put on weight? I pretended not to hear and brushed off my mom's comment. In the following days, I even used college application research as an excuse to avoid delivering meals, but somehow, news about Shingziki's elopement car accident suddenly spread throughout the school. My mom got a call from Aunt Zhou the next morning. Something's happened. Come quick. Our families always helped each other out. So my parents rushed over without hesitation. I went along with the mindset of watching the drama unfold. The moment we stepped off the elevator, we saw a crowd gathered inside and outside the hospital room. There were even reporters. As we approached, Li Wanwan stood by the bed with red-rimmed eyes while her parents hurled abuse nearby. Is this how you raised your son? His car accident is his own damn business. Why drag our daughter into this? Now everyone's saying your son's accident was caused by my daughter. How is she supposed to live with that for the rest of her life? Aunt Zhou and Uncle Xing had caught wind of the rumors these past few days. Before they could even speak up, the girl's family had the nerve to play the victim first. Aunt Zhou's expression turned icy. Madam, let's be reasonable. My son's phone is already being recovered for chat records. We'll soon see what really happened. My son's in this condition. And Li Wanwan couldn't even bother to visit. Then when she finally shows up, all she does is yell at him. Your daughter's reputation took a hit, but my son, he'll never walk again for the rest of his life. Aunt Zhou broke down in tears as she spoke. Reporters at the door seized the moment to push through. Cameras trained on both parties from either side. Did you two really plan to elope together? Li Wanwan fidgeted with her skirt, visibly guilty, after a long silence. Shingziki suddenly spoke up. No, it was me who got into a car accident on my way to the college entrance exam. I'm the one who has unrequited feelings for Li Wanwan. A flicker of surprise crossed Li Wanwan's eyes as she looked up. I couldn't help but give a thumbs up. Shingziki's devotion runs deep. No wonder he willed his entire fortune to Li Wanwan on his deathbed in his past life. 5. The reporter left in a huff after failing to get the answers they wanted. The interview clip went viral online almost instantly. Everyone called Shingziki the patron saint of love-struck fools, and their story became legendary throughout the entire high school. I stopped paying much attention to them because the college entrance exam results were coming out that evening. The night before the results were released, my parents and I stayed up late staring at our phones. When we finally saw my score of 690, my parents couldn't contain their excitement and shouted out loud. My eyes welled up with tears as I choked out, "Mom, Dad, I can finally pursue what I truly want to do. I'm finally free from being held back by academic qualifications. In my past life, a car accident prevented me from taking the college entrance exam, forever losing my chance at university. After marrying Shingziki, he would always bring his lab data home with him. With time on my hands, I began teaching myself and even made several scientific breakthroughs, but due to academic restrictions, I had to credit all my research achievements under Shingziki's name. This lifetime, the three bold characters Jiang Yenshu can finally be inscribed wherever my hands can reach. My mom cupped my face and planted a kiss. "Sweetheart, just name your reward." Seeing my parents' eyes brimming with tears, I couldn't help but pull them both into a hug. In my past life, I was bedridden with paralysis, and Mom wore herself out taking care of me. My greatest wish back then was just to take daily walks with my parents, go grocery shopping, and live those simple, heartwarming moments normal families share. "What's gotten into this kid today?" Burying my face in Mom's arms, I mumbled, "I want to go out with you both. Tomorrow you're mine, no work, no excuses." My parents agreed without hesitation, even looking pleasantly surprised. We got ready to leave early the next morning, but as we stepped out, we ran straight into Xing Ziqian, who had just returned from the hospital. The smiles froze on my parents' faces, quickly replaced with looks of concern. Just as I was about to speak, I saw Li Wanwan stepping out from the passenger seat. "What's this?" Aunt Zhou wore a complicated expression, forcing an awkward smile. "These two are getting engaged." I raised an eyebrow. Weren't they at each other's throats just the other day? Shingziki, unusually free from his usual gloom, openly held Li Wanwan's hand. "We're holding the engagement party the day after tomorrow. Don't forget to come. By the way, where are you two headed?" My parents exchanged glances and said, "The college entrance exam results are out. Yenshu scored 690 and is begging us to take her out to celebrate." Aunt Zhou was genuinely happy for me, but couldn't hide her disappointment for her own son. Even after getting in the car, Mom kept muttering to herself, "Didn't she dislike Ziki? How come she's suddenly getting engaged?" I silently scrolled through the school's confession wall. How will this called-off engagement end? After all, Li Wanwan has become quite the celebrity on campus. Shingziki was top of his class, but this scandal ruined him. Public opinion can crush a person alive. But I get the feeling that girl isn't particularly into Ziki. I gazed out the window with a knowing smile. If they were truly meant for each other, Li Wanwan wouldn't have said those things during their phone call. My mom even prepared a hefty red envelope for the engagement party. 6. Li Wanwan stood there in her qipao, while Shingziki remained confined to his wheelchair. They couldn't even fit in the same frame when trying to take a photo together. Li Wanwan grew visibly impatient in under 5 minutes. "Shingziki." I watched as Shingziki, paralyzed from the waist down, painfully raised himself slightly by pushing against the wheelchair armrests with his arms. Li Wanwan's expression finally softened a little. "Yenshu, could you take a photo for us, please?" I took the camera and snapped several shots, sincerely saying, "Wishing you a lifetime of happiness together." Li Wanwan smiled, but when her gaze swept over Shingziki's legs, the disdain and disgust in her eyes were unmistakable. Shingziki's, however, looked at me and said thank you. All of this didn't escape Aunt Zhou's notice. She held my hand tightly and wouldn't let go. "Yenshu, why is Shingziki so disobedient? You're such a wonderful girl, and you two grew up together since childhood." I knew exactly what Aunt Zhou was about to say, so I cut her off before she could speak. "Auntie, Shingziki's heart belongs to Li Wanwan, despite some minor hiccups. They've become a match made in heaven. You should be happy they're getting engaged." Aunt Zhou wiped her tears, her trembling fingers gently tucking a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "Yenshu, when you're at university, remember to show me what campus life is like." I nodded with a smile, though my heart ached faintly. It wasn't because of Shingziki. My heart went out to Uncle Xing and Aunt Zhou. They could have enjoyed their golden years like my parents, but this incident trapped them for the rest of their lives. I applied to Tsinghua University. 7. A month before school started, my parents gave me money to travel the world properly. I visited 4 or 5 countries, making up for the regrets of my past life in a big way. Right after the semester started, I dragged my luggage straight to campus registration, having missed out in my past life. I now cherish every campus experience with fresh wonder. I thrive on friendly academic rivalry with roommates, but enjoy our gossip sessions even more. Drawing from past life experience, I secured a spot in a professor's research team early on. This time, I no longer have to work silently behind the scenes. I can finally be my authentic self without reservations. By the end of the semester, I'd already gained considerable experience. When returning home for the holidays, I brought back some local specialties for my parents. But before I could even meet my parents, I unexpectedly ran into Auntie Jo in our neighborhood. Aunt Jo looked like a completely different person after just 3 months apart. Aunt Jo, she used to visit the beauty salon weekly with my mom, maintaining her youthful appearance despite being in her 50s. This time, not only had her hair turned noticeably gray, but deep wrinkles had also appeared. Aunt Jo froze for a second when she saw me. "Yenshu's back already. Your holiday came so quickly." I gave her some local treats I'd brought back, then couldn't resist gossiping with my parents after getting home. "What's happened to Aunt Jo recently? She's aged so much in just a few months." Even though Shinziki's health isn't great, they could always hire a caregiver. My parents exchanged glances and sighed helplessly. It's not because of Shinziki, but that Li Wanwan. Only after my parents spoke did I realize it was all Li Wanwan's doing. She only scored around 300 points on the college entrance exam, barely enough for a mediocre vocational college. Given Shinziki's health condition and their engagement, the Xing family wanted Li Wanwan to attend a local university. Li Wanwan initially agreed, but changed her mind the very next day. She demanded either 5 million to compensate for her education, or she'd study in the south and only return once a year. Shinziki's dependence on Li Wanwan made the Xing family unwilling to see their son give up on himself. Uncle Xing had no choice but to reluctantly agree to the matter. But ever since Shinziki's accident, the Xing family's business has been in decline. The additional expenses for Li Wanwan's future wedding, housing, a car, and dowry, suddenly piled immense pressure on Aunt Jo and Uncle Xing. Since they're both willing to marry, these issues can be properly discussed through calm negotiation. Aunt Jo happened to pass by our house, and my mother shook her head as she watched her increasingly hunched back. "Do you know what Li Wanwan's mother said? She said your son is now a good-for-nothing, and my daughter's willingness to stand by him and marry him is pure kindness. Otherwise, he'd be doomed to stay single forever." She even claimed the money from the Xing family wasn't a dowry but compensation for emotional distress, insisting it all be kept by Li Wanwan's mother after the wedding. Only then did I learn that Uncle Xing fell seriously ill over this matter. Li Wanwan would give Shinziki the cold shoulder unless they paid up. But everyone's got their own fate. Shinziki chose this path himself. He's got no one else to blame. The next morning, I happened to see Li Wanwan pushing Shinziki outside for some fresh air, claiming it was for fresh air. She left Shinziki baking under the June sun while retreating to the shade herself. Watching from a distance, I caught Shinziki's gaze. He gave me a faint, strained smile. Unlike last time, his smile now carried a tinge of bitterness. Li Wanwan sat beneath the tree fanning herself and scrolling through her phone, only to glance up at me moments later. "Yenshu, perfect timing. Could you keep an eye on things for me? I need to run back for a bit. God, it's boiling out here." I couldn't help but smirk at Shinziki, who was sitting directly under the scorching sun, sweat pouring down his face. Is he seriously just roasting himself out here? Li Wanwan waved her hand. "Getting some sunshine is good for your health." I opened my mouth but ultimately held back. After all, every villain meets their match. Shinziki studied me for a moment before speaking first. "Is college life more interesting?" I nodded at first, then shook my head. I'd asked him the same question in my past life, but Shinziki simply said, "Interesting or not, you can't go. Right now your priority is sorting out your basic survival needs." This lifetime, I threw those same words back at him. "Whether it's interesting or not, you can't go anyway. Right now, the priority is taking care of your basic needs." The heat makes smells spread faster. Even standing 2 meters away, I could smell the stench of stale sweat and bodily waste on him. Shinziki flushed with embarrassment, murmuring after a long pause, "College life sure is nice. It's wonderful that you and Li Wanwan finally found happiness together." With that, Li Wanwan walked out of the house. I turned away to attend to my own affairs, but faintly heard Shinziki murmur, "Is it really that wonderful?" I barely had any downtime during the entire break. 9. Not only did I catch up with high school friends over meals, but the real surprise was discovering a senior from my research group lives just around the corner. We decided to grind through another productive summer together. While I was buried in academic reports at home, Shinziki's household next door suddenly turned upside down. The racket starts at the crack of dawn every day, and it's been going nonstop for 3 straight days. On the 4th day, Aunt Jo finally couldn't take it anymore and came to our house in tears. "What on earth is going on? Why's your place been so lively lately?" my mom asked while comforting Aunt Jo. Aunt Jo said with swollen eyes from crying. Li Wanwan alone had already put everyone on edge, and now her mother and brother have moved into our home too. Ziki's health still hasn't fully recovered, he should be resting now, but they've turned the house upside down. Forget about Ziki, even we can't stand the chaos anymore. My jaw dropped in shock. To think Li Wanwan's mother and brother had actually moved into the Xing household. If this is already happening now, what do you think will happen if you get married? My mom, with her exceptional empathy, was so furious she started slamming the table. After all this time, Ziki's feelings for her still haven't faded. There are so many women in the world, does it have to be Li Wanwan? At this point, Aunt Jo fell silent. No one knows their own son better than themselves. After Aunt Jo left, my mom was so upset she skipped dinner altogether. "Mom, this is Shinziki's own choice of fiancé. Don't you remember how madly in love he was back then? Let's just respect their decision and wish them well. It's not our place to interfere with others' lives. That's wisdom from my past life." Mom nodded, and seeing how bored she was, I took her out for an evening stroll. We went to the nearby shopping district, where I bought Mom an ice cream, just like she used to do for me when I was little. "Mom, when are Shinziki and Li Wanwan getting married?" My mother remained silent, studying me with a searching gaze. "Yen Shu, your father might be clueless, but your mother sees everything clearly. About Shinziki, we grew up together, and wherever we went, people would tease us about being a pair. Over time, inappropriate thoughts began to take root in my heart. Instead of denying it, I countered my mother's question with one of my own. Do you really want your daughter to marry a paralyzed man?" Holding the ice cream, my mother replied with grave seriousness. "I'd never want my daughter to marry someone who's in love with another." "I'm relieved you didn't stubbornly insist on this." I chuckled and leaned against my mother's shoulder. It wasn't that I didn't insist. My past life had already taught me that lesson the hard way. Just as I was about to speak, Mom suddenly raised a finger to her lips. "Look, isn't that Li Wanwan and her brother?" Following my mom's gaze, I saw Li Wanwan intimately holding hands with her own brother, acting all lovey-dovey. My mom immediately covered my eyes. 10. Not suitable for children. Not suitable. I pushed my mom's hand away and quickly snapped a photo, zooming in on the image. That's definitely Li Wanwan's younger brother. The whole family lives with the Shins, but why would she be with her own brother, doing something like this? My mother's face turned grim as she wordlessly dragged me back home. I did some asking around on the way. Li Wanwan is an only child, she doesn't have any younger brother. In other words, the 3 of them, Li Wanwan included, played Uncle Xing's family for fools. My mom was pacing anxiously around the house. Should we really tell Aunt Jo about this? We can't just stand by and watch Li Wanwan cheat on Shinziki, especially right under the Xing family's nose. My father stopped my mother. "We can't rashly spread this news. Look how devoted Ziqing is to Wanwan. If this backfires, we might earn their lasting resentment." I shared my father's perspective. "It's not indifference, but sheer exhaustion from constant fear. The truth always comes out. It's only a matter of time before Li Wanwan's affair with that boy gets exposed." After reaching a consensus, the 3 of us unanimously decided to play dumb about the whole situation. I resumed my usual hectic routine, keeping myself constantly occupied, but to my surprise, Shinziki was sitting alone by the roadside when I returned that evening. His gloomy expression made me wonder if he'd discovered something. Jian Yenshu, 11. I tried to walk past unnoticed, but he called out to me. "It's getting late, aren't you heading home?" He stared at me for a moment before forcing a strained smile. "That person who just walked you back was..." I frowned, finally realizing he was talking about my senior. "We went to the campsite in the neighboring district together today, and he just drove me back." But there's no need for me to explain these things to him, I shot back. "What do you want?" Shinziki lowered his head to stare at his legs, and when he looked up again, his eyes were red. "The doctor said," his voice choked up. "The doctor said my leg isn't healing well, it needs to be amputated." I raised an eyebrow but stayed silent. This was exactly what I'd expected. After all, when he took me from my parents in our past life, I ended up in the ICU for 2 days with an infection too. It's only natural that the condition worsens without proper care, but I just brushed it off with, "Is that so? Get some rest. It's getting late. I should head back now." I turned to leave, but Shinziki caught me by the wrist. I jerked my hand away as if electrocuted, feeling thoroughly repulsed from head to toe. "Spit it out." My tone was sharp. yet Xingziqi's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Jiang Yenshu, why are you being so cold to me now? I was momentarily speechless, my brows knitting together involuntarily. Xingziqi, you're engaged now. Have some self-respect. I may be engaged, but I can still call it off for you. I had no idea what sudden madness possessed him. Xingziqi's emotions suddenly surged, his fingers gripping the wheelchair armrests with white-knuckled intensity. Jiang Yenshu, where were you the day of my car accident? At the exact moment the crash happened, didn't you see it? My heart sank as I noticed Xingziqi's expression shift abruptly. Just as I expected, he said again, if you had saved me back then, would our lives be different now? I wouldn't have to spend my days in this wheelchair. Hearing this, I was certain he'd also been reborn. Fine then, finally don't have to keep pretending anymore. I tore off his hypocritical mask. Of course it's different when I saved you. I became the one who got into the car accident. By then you'll go to college, become a professor, achieve all these research accomplishments, while I'll just be that scheming woman who saved you to demand repayment. With every word I spoke, Xingziqi's face grew paler. He stared at me in shock, his words stumbling out haltingly. Jiang Yenshu, you've been reborn just like me, haven't you? Seeing this reincarnated Xingziqi before me, waves of hatred surged in my heart. Instead of obsessing over this, why don't you go home and take a good look at that cuckold's hat on your head in the mirror? I walked straight into the house without looking back. Xingziqi loved Li Wanwan to the core, tolerating almost everything for her. But would a man like that really let his woman cheat on him? I was hoping for some commotion next door. 12. But after my shower, only Uncle Sheng and Aunt Zhou showed up at home. I asked pointedly, what are Xingziqi and Li Wanwan up to? Aunt Zhou shook her head. Ziki's acting strange tonight, said it's been ages since we hung out with you guys, practically pushed us out the door to come over. I stayed silent, just staring through the glass partition at the neighbors. What's Xingziqi really up to? Uncle Sheng and Aunt Zhou were making small talk with my parents, the conversation drifting aimlessly, but when I turned around absent-mindedly, thick smoke was suddenly billowing from the neighboring house. I froze for a moment before realizing Xingziqi's intention. He chose the same way to die as in his past life. Uncle, Aunt, look, is something wrong with your house? They sprang to their feet at the sight of thick smoke and bolted home, but Xingziqi had made up his mind. When the door opened, the entire house was already engulfed in flames. Faint sobs and cries for help could still be heard. Aunt Zhou was so frantic she nearly passed out. While Uncle Sheng tried everything to find water to put out the fire, but to no avail. My dad did call 119 immediately though, but it was too late. By the time firefighters arrived, the blaze had already consumed most of the house. Supporting Aunt Zhou as we stepped inside, she broke down at the sight of her home in complete ruins. I've never done anything wrong in my life. Why must I be punished like this? Ziki, my son, sobbing. Firefighters pulled several bodies from the blaze. All charred beyond recognition, Uncle Sheng's legs gave way as he collapsed to his knees. How could everything go so wrong so suddenly? The room fell into complete silence, broken only by muffled sobs, but moments later, Uncle Sheng's phone suddenly pinged. It's a message from our son. Mom, Dad, it's Ziqiao. I've been unfilial, stubbornly rebelling to chase after that wretched Li Wanwan, wasting all your hard-earned money. In that critical moment I happened to witness. After growing up together for over a decade, I didn't have time to think. I just rushed forward and pushed him away. Those two kept having affairs in my bed while I was asleep. Mom, Dad, I just can't take it anymore. If there's a next life, your son will repay you even if it means serving as your ox or horse. Aunt Zhou and Uncle Sheng were sobbing uncontrollably, while my parents exchanged bewildered glances. The bodies were burned beyond recognition, so they had to be buried together. After arranging Xingziqi's funeral, Aunt Zhou fell seriously ill. The only consolation was that while we lost people, the money was secured. The little remained of their savings. It was enough for the elderly couple's retirement. After the semester started, I went back to school. My mom keeps using Xingziqi as a cautionary tale, warning me not to lose my head over romance. I facebombed in exasperation. Been there, done that. I'm never making the same mistake again in this lifetime. I'm completely devoted to academia, almost obsessively chasing name recognition. My roommates all called me a freak. Give us mortals a break, will you? How many research papers have you published already? E&D. Next story. After 7 years of marriage, Jiangqing finally asked for a divorce over a mistress. He said, Su Huan, she is different from other girls. She remained a virgin for me. I nodded silently. I suppressed my inner excitement, afraid that it might be seen. Heaven knows. If he didn't bring up the divorce any sooner, I would have been unable to hold back. Last night, the hot-tempered prince used 800 different positions to force me to make him my official boyfriend, and my whole body is still trembling uncontrollably. 1. When I took the divorce agreement from Jiangqing, my whole body was trembling. Su Huan, I'm sorry to you, Jiangqing, seeing me trembling uncontrollably, said helplessly, this girl remained a virgin for me. I need to give her a status. I understand, I nodded. My body still couldn't be controlled, it kept shaking, especially my legs, they were shaking like a sieve, but I was completely unaware, and I was very seriously looking at the content of the divorce agreement. My marriage to Jiangqing lasted 7 years, we were childhood friends, got into a relationship in high school, and got married right after college. At the wedding, Jiangqing cried like a dog, saying that he was lucky enough to be able to marry me. But in the 3rd year of our marriage, he had someone else. The first time I found out, he was very nervous and begged me for forgiveness. I forgave him, so there were the 2nd, 3rd, and nth times, but he said that no matter how he played outside, his wife would always be me. But this time, he finally proposed to me for a little canary. I have met that girl, she's just 20 years old, very delicate. She likes to call Jiangqing at midnight, and as soon as she calls, she cries. She cries so much that Jiangqing's heart is broken. To comfort the girl, Jiangqing spends more and more time away from home. Today he suddenly came back, which surprised me a lot. What if we met? That would be embarrassing. 2. I started having someone else a year ago. Jiangqing doesn't know. It's not that I intentionally kept it a secret. He just hasn't paid attention to me for a long time, or, he truly doesn't think I would betray him. I heard him on the phone with a friend, Su Huan. She can't get away from me. Even if I'm out there doing whatever, she will still be waiting at home for me. At that moment, I suddenly started reflecting on myself. Why can he? Why can't I? Why can he casually say, it's normal for men to have affairs outside, but I can't? Pain leads to reflection, so, I bravely broke free from the chains of marriage. The first person I cheated with was Hua Wenxiu, the heir of the Hua family. That night he was fighting in a bar, and I was watching the commotion from the side. As a bystander, I just made a comment, young people have such a short temper, but he caught me. Auntie, my temper on the bed is even stronger. Want to try? I looked at his face, which was full of bruises but still handsome, and his well-defined chest muscles and round, firm buttocks. I dared to spend a night with him, but once I did, I couldn't get rid of him. Hua Wenxiu's clingy behavior was even worse than Jiangqing's little canary. At first, he was only clinging to me in bed, gradually starting to be overbearing. He really wants me to give him a formal status. Just like last night, this prince came to my house in the middle of the night, acting as if he had taken the wrong medicine, and forced me to make it official. I didn't give in, and he dragged me through the whole night. If it wasn't for him having to go on a business trip this morning, it might have collided with Jiangqing. 3. Jiangqing's phone has been ringing non-stop. His little canary has already been unable to hold back and has called several times. The sound was a bit loud, and I could hear it. On the other end, he was crying and arguing. Why is it taking so long to get a divorce? Is the other party not agreeing? You promised me, even if you had to leave with nothing, you would divorce her. Are you lying to me? Hearing the words, leave with nothing, my eyes lit up. Jiangqing whispered to her, almost there, stay at home and wait for me. I'll buy you the duck neck you like later. An hour, at most an hour, you must be back. Okay. Jiangqing hung up the phone. Su Huan, there's nothing wrong, just sign it, Jiangqing urged me. Actually, the divorce agreement wasn't a big issue. Jiangqing gave me half of my assets. It was obvious that he was sincere. I could have accepted it. But thinking about my current status and the years of enduring humiliation, if you don't take the advantage, you'll be unlucky for a lifetime. Don't take advantage of a scoundrel, you'll be unlucky for life. At that moment, I pretended to be in pain and said, Jiangqing. At that time Jian Group was almost bankrupt due to poor management. It was I who accompanied you to social events and ended up with a stomach hemorrhage, which helped secure the sponsorship and funding. Su Huan. Those are past things. If the feelings are gone, they're gone. You can keep my body but not my heart. Why bother? Jiangqing tried to console me. I think Jian Group should have a part of me, I said directly. Jiangqing was stunned for a moment. He probably didn't expect that I wanted Jian Group. Not him. I want 50% of the original shares of Jian Group in your hands, not cash compensation. What do you want the shares for? Jiangqing was surprised. To reminisce, I said coldly. Jiangqing hesitated a bit. For him, shares are naturally more important. He wants absolute control of the group. If he gives me 50%, he won't be the largest shareholder anymore. Okay, Jiangqing agreed immediately. He must think that even if I have shares, I can't really get involved in company decisions. I also want the cash value. I continued to make my demands. Su-hwan, don't be greedy. Jiangqing clearly didn't want to. That's all I have, and you, have a great love. Jiangqing looked at my bloodshot eyes and trembling body, and said through his pain, okay, I'll give it to you, but Su-hwan, don't bother me anymore in the future. A deal is a deal. 4. Jiangqing quickly had his lawyer redraft a divorce agreement, which I signed readily. I got into his car and went to the civil affairs office. As I opened the passenger side door, I saw a few big characters stuck on it. This princess's seat. Everyone else step aside. It was obviously not me who put them there. Jiangqing also noticed it and explained, that girl is just being playful. It's okay, I'll sit in the back. The whole trip was quiet. Jiangqing suddenly asked me, why aren't you talking? I'm reading the WeChat message that Hu Wenxiu sent me. He just got off the plane and is bombarding me with messages. Safe landing. I miss you. Do you miss me? Every second away from you is torment. Wait for me to come back and transfer it properly, okay? What's so good about Jiangqing, that rotten cucumber? He's not as handsome as me, not as rich, not as young, and not as physically fit. Su-hwan, Jiangqing's voice was a bit loud. I frowned and said, what's wrong? Who are you talking to? Can't you hear me speaking? Do you have something to say? I was surprised. After the divorce, if you have any difficulties, you can come to me. After all, we were married, and I'm not that heartless. Jiangqing said impatiently again, okay. I nodded and agreed. The car fell into silence again. Jiangqing couldn't help but say again, don't you have anything to say to me? Then I wish you and her a long and lasting relationship. I said, you don't need to pretend in front of me. Jiangqing said generously, no pretense, a prostitute with a dog, a long and lasting relationship. Jiangqing suddenly said kindly, Su-hwan, you should go out and see the outside world more. Your life is too narrow. Haven't you noticed you don't have many friends? If you do this, after we get divorced, will you be able to find another partner? I laughed and said, after we're divorced, my matters don't need your concern. I'm worried about you being alone, no one to take care of you. For so many years, haven't I always been alone? I said sarcastically. Jiangqing naturally understood my sarcasm. He paused for a moment and said, what I mean is, I have many friends. Should I introduce you to some? Sure, why not? I said generously. Jiangqing was somewhat stunned, then said, okay, I'll introduce you to someone good later. After arriving at the civil affairs office, we quickly processed the divorce registration. When leaving, Jiangqing said he would send me, but couldn't resist his little canary's urging, and left in a hurry. I looked up at the blue sky and white clouds, finally feeling what it means to be like reborn, after more than 20 years of relationship. It really vanished in an instant. 5. I didn't tell Hu Wenxiu that I had registered for divorce with Jiangqing. I can't explain why, or maybe, I never really thought about giving Hu Wenxiu a status. We can play around, but that's it. I won't make the same mistake again, but Jiangqing's little canary is already eager to take action. She posted on her social media on the 5th day after we registered our divorce, declaring her ownership. We became WeChat friends back then, and it was the canary who initiated it. I initially refused, but I couldn't resist her persistence. One day, I accidentally accepted it. Her caption was, choose one Qing to spend the rest of your life with, meet one person to grow old with. The photo below is a picture of her and Jiangqing holding hands, both wearing the same pair of matching rings. Coincidentally that day, I and Jiangqing's mutual friend had a birthday, and we both went. Jiangqing brought the little canary with him. Before I arrived, I heard a group of people laughing and talking in the private room. When are the two of you going to have a wedding? By the way, did Su-hwan really agree to the divorce? I thought she was really crazy about you. Always revolving around you. How did you manage to persuade Su-hwan not to cling to you? Teach us, buddy. Jiangqing had not yet spoken. I answered confidently, equal property distribution. A group of people looked at me appearing, and they were somewhat embarrassed. The friends celebrating the birthday quickly defused the situation, inviting everyone to the table. I was quite at ease. The little goldfinch kept looking at me. Her eyes were full of provocation. Finally, she could not hold back any longer and stood up. Madam Su, Jiangqing has suffered a lot to divorce you. I don't mind that, but I just hope you won't bother Jiangqing anymore. I'll drink first. After saying that, she drank the glass of wine in her hand. I didn't respond. The little canary looked a bit unhappy. Su Jia, you and Jiangqing are divorced. Does that mean you still have feelings for him? Enough. Jiangqing called to the canary. Let's talk about this privately. No. I want her to promise in front of everyone that she won't bother us anymore. The canary pouted. I want you to be completely mine. Her voice was soft and gentle. Jiangqing was really into that. He sighed. Su Huan, just give Shuer a promise so she can be at peace. I glanced at Jiangqing. I had already forgotten, but suddenly remembered that once, when he was drunk, he knelt on the ground and said he would love me for a lifetime, saying that if I wanted stars from the sky, he would pick them down for me. This situation was really jarring. I smiled faintly. Don't worry, I don't take in trash. Jiangqing's face, which had been smiling, suddenly turned cold. The canary's face wasn't much better either. I continued. Correct you, Jiangqing and I are getting a divorce. It's not that he suffered heavy losses. It's all something I deserve. Also, the money Jiangqing spent on you, half of it was mine. I didn't ask you to pay it back, was my kindness to you. You should be grateful instead of pushing further. You, the canary turned red in the face from my words. Jiangqing took her side. Su Huan, even if you aren't willing to accept that I no longer love you, there's no need to make the girl embarrassed. There's no resentment. Don't be stubborn. I know you've never been able to accept the fact that I don't love you anymore. The door suddenly opened. A familiar voice said, sorry, I'm late. 6. Seeing Hua Wenxiu at this moment, I was a bit surprised. Isn't it said that this business trip would take about 10 days? It's only been a few days. Others were also drawn to his arrival. The host was exceptionally enthusiastic. Mr. Hua's visit is truly an honor for me. Please sit here. Saying that, he tried to let Hua Wenxiu sit in the main seat. Everyone also showed respect to Hua Wenxiu. In this circle, Hua Wenxiu is considered a higher-level second-generation rich person than them. Naturally, they had to flatter him. No need to be polite. I can just sit here. Hua Wenxiu directly went to my side. I didn't even dare to look at him directly, afraid he might do something outrageous. Yes, yes. The host quickly beckoned the server to add another seat. I instinctively moved to the side. The chair was pulled by Hua Wenxiu. I turned back to look at him. Looking at him, he was smiling with a look of self-satisfaction. Even in the next moment, his improper foot had already slipped between my legs. I tensed up and squeezed my legs tightly. This not only failed to make Hua Wenxiu leave me, but also forced him closer. Mr. Hua, I'll drink to you. Jiangqing suddenly came over. My heart is racing. It's like I'm caught in an affair. Look, even after a year, I still can't accept this calmly, but Jiangqing can. Fortunately, it's already the divorce cooling off period. I gradually relaxed. Hua Wenxiu looked at Jiangqing and said, I don't drink alcohol. I was impolite. Jiangqing didn't feel embarrassed and said calmly, then Mr. Hua can just drink water. I'll have the alcohol. After a day on the plane, I just want to eat something quietly. Hua Wenxiu didn't give Jiangqing any face at all. Even Jiangqing, who had thick skin, felt a bit embarrassed. He laughed nervously. I'm sorry for disturbing Master Hua. I'll punish myself by drinking a cup. Master Hua, please enjoy your meal. Jiangqing left. Others also wanted to come and toast, but because of Hua Wenxiu's attitude, they chose to watch and wait. The host felt the atmosphere was a bit off and quickly took the initiative to liven it up. Everyone didn't restrain anymore and were drinking wine with each other. The gathering returned to normal. The canary couldn't help but speak again. Madam Su, just now when we drank together, you still haven't given me a direct answer. I was a bit speechless. Dealing with Hua Wenxiu was already exhausting enough. Let Hua Deshao be here to witness it, Jinkui said firmly, as if she wouldn't let go unless she got an explanation. What kind of witness? Hua Wenxiu said with interest. The foot under the table was also not staying still. Seeing that Hua Wenxiu was paying attention to her, Jinkui became even more energetic. She quickly said, as everyone knows, Jiangqing has already registered for divorce with Su Huan. To part amicably, Jiangqing gave her most of his assets. But Su Huan still won't let go of Jiangqing. I saw Hua Wenxiu's expression getting worse as he listened. Jinkui became even more excited as she spoke. Today so many friends are here, and Hua Deshao is also here. I just want Su Huan to give me a promise that she will never bother Jiangqing again. After all, we have already paid the price for it, and she can't be so shameless. 7. I really couldn't help but laugh. How could she be so shameless to say, shameless? I was about to speak up. Hua Wenxiu spoke up first. If I'm not mistaken, you were the mistress. Canaries was taken aback, blushing as she said, Su Huan and Jiangqing are already divorced, and now I am Jiangqing's legitimate fiancé. Jiangqing has already proposed to me. Saying that, she also showed off the ring on her hand. Don't tell me they are only registered divorced, not officially divorced yet. Even if they are divorced, you were seducing a married man. Hua Wenxiu mocked. Do you think you're a mistress with a sense of superiority? The one who is not loved is the mistress. Canaries said firmly, Jiangqing and I are in love, and Jiangqing no longer loves Su Huan. She is the mistress in this relationship. Did you skip 9 years of compulsory education? Hua Wenxiu laughed coldly. Does no one teach you how to feel ashamed? Why don't you be a decent person and instead choose to be a dog that eats feces? Not only are you despicable, but you're also shameless. She's the officially married wife, while you are just and you're not even good at being a chicken. I was directly stunned by what I heard. Is there a possibility that you're also yourself? Canaries was speechless, her eyes red, and she cried, You, how could you say that about me, as a mistress? You should have the self-discipline of a mistress. Wenshou didn't even pay attention to Canaries, and kept ranting. You should listen when someone scolds you, endure when someone exposes you in public, and lower your head in front of the law. Look at you now. You not only failed to manage your hidden identity, but you also act like a clown in broad daylight. You're not actively taking off your clothes for people to see. Oh, almost forgot. The mistress is really good at taking off her clothes. Is that what you're saying about yourself? This person can be really harsh, even to themselves. I was speechless. The canary was actually made to cry. Jiangqing was visibly angry next to him, but held back due to Wenshou's face. The canary cried even more, looking pitiful. Jiangqing, they're all bullying me. I don't want to live anymore. I just love you. What's wrong with that? Jiangqing couldn't hold back anymore and said, Mr. Hua. My family matters don't need your lecture. This isn't her who asked me to witness it. Wenshou said matter-of-factly, I just spoke the truth. And you all got defensive. How can you be a mistress if you can't even handle a little emotional pressure? Besides, who said this is just your family matter? Wenshou hadn't finished speaking yet. I suddenly shouted. Everyone looked at me in surprise. I accidentally bit my tongue. I made up an excuse, of course. To stop Wenshou from speaking recklessly, I'm going to the restroom. 8. I got up and left. I also expected Wengsui to follow me. Sure enough, as soon as I left the private room and entered the restroom, I hadn't even had time to lock the door when Wenshou squeezed in. The next moment, I was tightly pressed against the wall and couldn't move. Open your mouth and let me see. Wenshou lowered his body, his hot breath brushing against my face. I could feel his obvious restlessness even through his clothes. I shook my head violently. Be good, don't make me do something indecent. Wenshou's sexy lips were almost touching mine. What are you going to do? My body shivered. I thought he was going to force a kiss on me, but I didn't expect him to take my hand and put it inside his clothes, then keep moving it down. Wenshou never forces me, but he can still make me comply willingly. I only truly understood Jiangqing's happiness this past year. Wild flowers are more fragrant than cultivated ones. Quite a lot. Why didn't you tell me you've registered for divorce with Jiangqing? Wenshou's voice was hoarse, his teeth nipping at my ear. Is that why you came back so many days early? Did you plan to give me a surprise? Wenshou obviously knew. His eyes were bright. That's not exactly it. Just don't want to take responsibility. Why did you stop me from speaking? Wenshou obviously knew I was lying. Aren't you the one who said that a mistress should have self-discipline? I was a bit out of breath. Your current status is a bit hard to be seen in the open. So when are you going to make me official? Wenshou's voice rose at the end, extremely seductive, so I couldn't resist. I leaned down and kissed Wenshou. Wenshou couldn't take it anymore, and immediately forgot about the recent incident. Of course, we didn't actually do anything here. But when we left, my lips were bitten and broken. I also accidentally met Jiangqing in the corridor outside. It looked like he was waiting for me on purpose. Su Huan, have you had enough? Jiangqing coldly asked me. I laughed in anger. Jiangqing, do you understand who was causing trouble tonight? Why bother with a little girl? How old are you? How old is she? Is it worth it? It's not worth it. I nodded. Then go apologize to Schwer, I muttered. Why should I quarrel with a chicken? So I didn't say a word tonight. Su Huan, you've gone too far. Jiangqing's face suddenly changed. You being like this will only make me hate you more. Does it matter if I like or dislike you? I was a bit confused. Divorced. Then we are unrelated. Who still cares about the other person's feelings? You don't need to be stubborn. I clearly know your feelings for me. If you just apologize to Schwer tonight, I can agree to our divorce but not living apart. 9. I was stunned, unable to believe what I had just heard. Jiangqing could actually say such shameless words. That's why the elders always say, not a family member, not entering the same family door. Jiangqing and Qin Schwer, really a perfect match. You don't need to be too happy. Whatever I give Schwer, I won't give less to you. Even if I don't have feelings for you, I will take responsibility for you all the way. Jiangqing said firmly. I couldn't say a word for a long time. I first realized that although I have known Jiangqing for over 20 years, I seem to not know him at all. Jiangqing, how do you think I would give up being a proper wife to become a mistress? How bad do I have to be? I asked him with a laugh. I tried to keep my voice calm. I must give Shuer a proper status. You can only be, Jiangqing said with a determined attitude. Why should I myself, Su Huan, know when to stop? To be precise, why must I revolve around you, Jiangqing? If I can't be your wife, then I have to be your mistress. Are you a RMB? Do I have no choice but to be yours? Or is it that all men in the world are dead? I am trying to part amicably, and at most, I don't want to make things too awkward with Jiangqing over the property, but some people really have no sense of boundaries. Jiangqing was so angry his face turned red. Su Huan, you'd better not regret what you said today. I won't regret it. I didn't hesitate at all, and added, also. Don't forget, 25 days later, we'll go to the Civil Affairs office to get our divorce certificate. I will never forget. Don't try to play tricks, Jiangqing said through gritted teeth. Okay, I left a sentence and walked away. I had taken 2 steps when I saw Qin Shuer rushing to find Jiangqing. When she saw me, she immediately exploded. Su Huan, you were alone with Jiangqing. What did you two do? Why is your lip broken? Did Jiangqing bite you? I pressed my lips, and then remembered that my lip had been bitten by Hu Wenxiu just now. I felt a bit angry. It was clearly intentional, afraid that others wouldn't know I have someone outside. I said angrily, a dog bit me. Are you calling Jiangqing a dog? Qin Shuer was about to faint from anger. Jiangqing quickly explained. It's not me. I never touched Su Huan. She bit her lip on purpose to frame me. After so many years, I'm already fed up with her. Saying that, he shouted at me again. Su Huan, you spoke so confidently just now, and now you're trying to break up my relationship with Shuer. Don't you think your behavior is despicable? I could no longer control my inner fury and was about to lose my temper. Hu Wenxiu walked out of the restroom in a relaxed manner. Mr. Jiang, your face is really big, isn't it? Is the whole world only a dog? Hu Wenxiu walked up to me, lifted my chin, and kissed my lips in front of Jiangqing and Qin Shuer. At this moment, my heart finally sank. 10. After a deep kiss, Jiangqing and Qin Shuer were both stunned. Hu Wenxiu hugged me and said, looked clearly, I bit it, you dog, you're even proud of it. I saw Jiangqing's eyes go from shock to disbelief to anger too, unable to accept. He said, Su Huan, is it true? If you don't have bad eyes, you can see it clearly. Up to now, I could only accept it. When Hu Wenxiu heard me say that, his lips couldn't help but curve upward. If there was really a dog tail, it would have already been wagging in the sky. Su Huan, you, Jiangqing had the words on his lips but swallowed them back. It was probably too sudden, and he couldn't organize his words for a moment. I didn't need to explain too much to him. He was a veteran, and could understand. I pulled Hu Wenxiu away. As I left, I suddenly turned back and looked at Qin Shuer. Qin Shuer felt my gaze and immediately straightened her posture. At that moment, I inexplicably felt a bit guilty. We were both mistresses. Why could Qin Shuer be so confident and justified, while Hu Wenxiu had to be so suppressed? Thought for a moment. Hu Wenxiu was indeed a man with self-cultivation who was an adulterer. What are you looking at? Qin Shuer said angrily when I didn't say anything. You can be proud of your youth. But Jiangqing can't, I said with a smile. After all, they're things I've grown tired of, and you're just starting to get addicted to them. This time, I pulled Hu Wenxiu and left without looking back. I heard Qin Shuer's sharp cry behind me. What's Su Huan so proud of? She's a middle-aged woman who can't even keep her own husband. What right does she have to be so arrogant? Jiangqing, you must take my side and get me even for this humiliation. I've been with you honestly. I'm not here to be humiliated, honestly. How ironic. Neither I nor Hu Wenxiu went back to the birthday party. We just left by car. In the car, Hu Wenxiu cautiously asked me, are you angry? No, I know Hu Wenxiu was just trying to help me take revenge. Besides, since it's already done, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Can I pay you back with meat? He asked me pitifully. My current state was clearly a bit heavy-hearted. I'm not really angry at him, I was thinking. How could I not be responsible for him? I turned back and met his close-up handsome face, then looked down at his chest, which was exposed with all his shirt buttons undone. The words no were on my lips, but I just couldn't say them. A man really affects my ability to draw my sword. I still ended up being lured to the hotel, despite my better judgment. The next day, I came back home with a sore back, and Jiangqing was there. A person who hasn't returned in 800 years is now sitting in the living room. Where did you go last night? Jiangqing asked me, with an air of coming to demand an explanation. I didn't respond to him and walked directly to the bedroom. Su Huan, even if you use this method, you won't be able to make me change my mind. Don't have unrealistic expectations, Jiangqing coldly reminded. So up to now, Jiangqing still thinks I can't let go of him. I stopped and laughed lightly. Then why did you come back today? 11. Jiangqing spoke resolutely. We were husband and wife. I don't want you to degrade yourself. People like you who haven't seen much of the world are too easy to be deceived. Too easy to be deceived by men. I know men's psychology well. Jiang Wenxiu and you are just playing around. There's absolutely no future between you two. I stared straight at Jiangqing. You and Qin Shuer's relationship is pretty good, isn't it? Can you compare to Shuer? Jiangqing was very excited. Shuer is young and beautiful, pure in body and mind, but what about you? You're almost 30, and you've been married before. Which man would want a second-hand item, especially Zhang's family's prince, who is even 5 years younger than you? You're just begging for humiliation, so in your opinion, I'll never have a man want me again, and you still want to divorce me, ruining my whole life. I laughed coldly. I said, we can get divorced but still live under the same roof. Although we no longer have a marital relationship, I can take care of you for the rest of your life. Just don't degrade yourself like this anymore. I really felt disgusted. I said, Jiangqing, who do you think you are to forgive me? You've been with Qin Shuer and so many women like her, and you have no right to hold me accountable. Am I a second-hand item? Then what are you? A trash. I'm a man and a woman can't be the same. Jiangqing was furious. It seems that the ones who slipped through 9 years of compulsory education are not only Qin Shuer, but also you. You don't need to lecture me with all this philosophy, Su Huan. At the end of the day, this society is like this. Men and women are born with different social status. What's the use of your higher education? It's just to marry better. I have to admit, at this moment, I was really speechless by Jiangqing. Maybe, if I say another word to him now, I would feel offended. I began to examine him, and also examine myself. Maybe I was blind back then, or maybe a person really can change into something so disgusting. Jiangqing said, I don't need to say more. Su Huan, when you get beaten by society, you will know what it means to not listen to the elders. After saying that, Jiangqing left. As he left, he added another reminder. Don't forget the day to get the divorce certificate. I took a deep breath. I was almost angry by Jiangqing. Where did he get the confidence from? As a man, did he really become so proud? Fortunately, finally, I realized it, and it's about to be completely cleared up. 12. The day I went to the civil affairs office to get the divorce certificate, I arrived early. Jiangqing didn't waste any time. We quickly got our divorce certificate. This means that 50% of Jiangqing's shares and the cash all went into my account. Finally, I felt relieved. It's not that I'm afraid Jiangqing won't divorce me. I just worry that he might be reluctant to give me so much, and I don't want to waste any more time arguing with him. Su Huan, are you sure? As we left the civil affairs office, Jiangqing suddenly asked me, what? I was confused. Divorce but not leaving home. I let out a laugh. Jiangqing said, the premise is that you can't be involved with other men anymore. Jiangqing, where do you get the confidence to think that after being treated like this, I can still follow you without hesitation? What's so special about you that I can't stop thinking about you? Is it because you have a rotten cucumber in your pants instead of me? Speak to me with respect. Jiangqing was furious. Respect is mutual. Have you ever respected me? Besides, why should I be polite to a low-class, disgusting, and dirty scumbag? Isn't that punishing myself? Honestly, this moment, I really feel relieved. After holding back for so long, I can finally vent my emotions without any reservations. Jiangqing stared at me fiercely, unable to believe that I would insult him so openly. I said, Jiangqing, you previously said I had higher education. What's the use of it? Now I officially tell you, after receiving higher education, I can filter out people like you from my life. I can also minimize my own losses when I'm hurt. I can even make you understand that women are never the property of men. You really haven't experienced the hardships of society. Jiangqing sneered. Then, so be it. Goodbye in the world of the martial heroes. I left with a carefree attitude, without paying any attention to the furious light behind me. I felt, for the first time, an unprecedented sense of ease and satisfaction, which reached its peak at this moment. After the divorce, I took my shares, equal to Jiangqing's, and entered Zhang's group. It wasn't hard to enter Zhang's group. At that time, Zhang's group had a crisis, and my marriage to Jiangqing had only lasted 2 years. I invested all the inheritance left to me by my parents to save Zhang's group, and I also accompanied Jiangqing in seeking investments everywhere. The people of Zhang's group were not unaware of my abilities. If it hadn't been for me accompanying Jiangqing step by step through those years, Zhang's group would have already been gone. Jiangqing was appointed as the chairman by the board of directors after that crisis, taking over his father's position. At the same time, Jiangqing returned double the money I had invested in Zhang's. I have withdrawn from the scene, because Jiangqing said, Huan, I don't want you to be too tired. I can support the family and also support you, sure enough. A man can be relied on, a pig can climb a tree, well, it's also good, a fall into a pit, a gain in your wit. 13. I entered the Zhang's management, which Jiangqing naturally could not agree to, but because he was no longer the largest shareholder, he no longer had absolute authority. Plus, over these 2 years, Jiangqing spent a lot of time on women, and his neglect of the group has caused many directors to be dissatisfied. Now, he even gave up his shares for a woman. And the shareholders no longer trusted him. Letting me join the group, in a way, was also a lesson given to Jiangqing by the board of directors, and all of these were part of my plan. Even so, Qin Shuer not allowing Jiangqing to come to the company because I am there was also within my expectations. Qin Shuer's youth is her asset, but her ignorance will make her pay a price. The board of directors is becoming increasingly dissatisfied with Jiangqing's long absence from the company. My workability has made the board of directors increasingly trust me. This went on for half a year. After approving the last plan, I met Hu Wenxiu at the office door when I left work in the evening. The secretary was a bit nervous, because he is the eldest son of Hu Group. We have a cooperation with Hu Group, so we dare not stop him, and Hu Young Master also doesn't let us disturb you. I nodded, indicating that I understood. Come in. I let Hu Wenxiu into my office. I knew there would come a day like this. I can't just send him a WeChat message saying break up, block him, and then confess to his parents about our improper relationship and be done with it. Hu Wenxiu may be a love-struck guy, but he's not someone who can be easily bullied. The title prince isn't given to him for nothing. Have you missed me? Hu Wenxiu asked with red eyes. I didn't dare to meet his gaze. I was afraid that if I made one mistake, he would kill me. I just lowered my head and answered, if I say I haven't, will you get angry? I will, very honest, sorry. Am I just a tool for you to take revenge on your ex-husband? I shook my head and said seriously, still a tool in bed. Hu Wenxiu stared at me. I wondered if he was about to explode with anger. Then he left with his face turned away. At most, he gave me a slap before leaving, but the next moment, I heard him say, then why not keep using me? I'm very useful. You are indeed very useful. But I'm afraid I'll get addicted. I felt a bit guilty in my heart. I've seen Hu Wenxiu's behavior in front of others, and it's definitely not this pitiful dog-like appearance. Su Huan, let's get married. Hu Wenxiu suddenly proposed to me. I was shocked. What are you thinking? I haven't even considered getting married again. And do you think your family will accept it? They have accepted it. I was speechless. Wait. How could the Hu family accept a woman who has been married before? When I went to see Hu Wenxiu's parents before, they didn't give me a single good look. I know you don't believe in marriage anymore because of a scumbag, but I'm young, and I'm sure I'll die after you. I can wait forever. I appreciate you dying after me. Hu Wenxiu's eyes were firm. Whenever you want to get married, we can. If you never want to, I'll stay with you forever. Brother, being love-struck will really make you unhappy. 14. I ran away from Hu Wenxiu in fear. Hu Wenxiu didn't chase me, he just shouted behind me, Su Huan, I will only have you in this life. Went back home, my mood had not yet calmed down, and I saw Jiangqing again. Did I offend the god of the year today? Everything is inauspicious. Huan, I want to talk to you. Jiangqing looked at me, his eyes filled with exhaustion. What do you want to talk about? Can I come in? No. Jiangqing sighed and said, I'm tired. You're tired. So you came to me. I sneered. Shouldn't you be asking Shuer to give you a full-body massage? You know what I'm talking about. Yes, I certainly do. Jiangqing and Qin Shuer have not had a peaceful 6 months. It is said that the two of them have not actually married. Qin Shuer's possessiveness toward Jiangqing has almost reached a pathological level. Even if Jiangqing's secretary reports work to him, she will get jealous and throw a tantrum. She also checks Jiangqing's phone every day, afraid that Jiangqing might have taken an interest in some woman. Even if Jiangqing likes a woman's post on social media, she would go to that woman's door and call her a fox spirit and a shameless woman. Jiangqing could still be patient and persuade at the beginning, but as time went on, Qin Shuer's behavior really affected his normal life. And he became impatient. Jiangqing's impatience further triggered Qin Shuer's nerves, making her more suspicious that Jiangqing no longer loved her. She would often threaten to commit suicide, and once, when Jiangqing came home late due to an engagement, Qin Shuer cut her wrist. Although she didn't die, it really scared Jiangqing. It also alarmed Qin Shuer's family. Her family was also very aggressive towards Jiangqing, saying that Qin Shuer, a pure and innocent girl, was following him, a divorced man, and if he dared to be bad to Qin Shuer, they would not let him go. Jiangqing was worried every day that Qin Shuer would cause trouble, and he was always afraid that her family would come to cause trouble. and he was in a state of nervous exhaustion every day. Not tired, that's impossible. But isn't this all his own fault? Isn't it just because he was so infatuated with the vitality of a young girl? Let's get back together. Jiangqing took a deep breath, as if he had made a big decision before speaking. So, is today a good day for marriage? I will take care of my relationship with Qin Shuer, and it won't cause any trouble for our marriage. Jiangqing, you really are despicable. I cut him off. Jiangqing's eyes narrowed. You must have heard some rumors, right? You'll be removed from your position at tomorrow's board meeting. I directly exposed his scheming. Jiangqing didn't deny it, and explained, it's not related to this. I really want to start over with you. Do you think I'll believe you? Although we divorced, I never married Qin Shuer. I kept our feelings alive, whether you believe it or not. After we divorced, I truly realized that the person I loved was you. I don't believe you. I admit that I divorced you back then. It was my mistake, my foolishness. Qin Shuer has been pure and loyal to me. As a man, I should give her an explanation. Jiangqing, I really didn't want to hear his nonsense. Who isn't clean and pure? My first time. Did I really give it to a dog? 15. Jiangqing was speechless. Stop pretending. I don't even believe the punctuation of what you're saying now. I turned around to go home. Jiangqing grabbed me. Su Huan, let me say I was wrong before. I have been regretting it since the day we divorced. I still can't understand how we ended up like this. You've thought it through very clearly. I cut straight to the point. You know very well the cost of your mistakes. You thought I could tolerate all those women you had outside, and I would also accept you remarrying after divorcing me. You assumed that since my parents died in an accident, my whole world was only you, so you gave me money and shares. Anyway, as long as you want, you can take them back anytime. But Qin Yue really gave you a different kind of happiness. You play with the little girl, and if it goes well, you keep playing with her. If it doesn't, you just discard her. But now you suddenly realize that you've lost control of both sides, and you're getting nervous and scared, so you're desperate to go back to the way things were. But Jiangqing, don't be so self-centered. You're not so excellent that all the women in the world have to revolve around you. Jiangqing wanted to argue back. I interrupted him again. Don't talk about a woman's chastity. The new China has been established for 75 years. Patriarchy is just the self-righteousness of men, a self-deceiving excuse. But you weren't with Hu Wenxiu, were you? Jiangqing shouted. I checked. It was you who approached the Hu family and broke things off with Hu Wenxiu on your own. Does that mean I can't forget you? And I love you, I said, laughing in disbelief. Isn't that the case? Is there a possibility that I know there's no future between me and Hu Wenxiu? So I don't want to hold you back, after all. I've already wasted my best years on a dead end, and I can't learn a lesson from it. Jiangqing looked at me, speechless. I didn't have any interest in him either. When I was about to leave again, a familiar voice came from behind me. I knew it. You cut me off abruptly not because you don't love me, but because you're afraid my family wouldn't approve. I turned around and looked at Hu Wenxiu. Why are you here? After you left, I missed you, so I came to see you, Hu Wenxiu said honestly, staring directly at me. Don't you miss me? Everyone could understand how ambiguous that word miss was. Hu Wenxiu didn't even wait for my answer. He walked straight up to me and kissed me without a second's delay. That is to say, you can't see the big person right next to you. He kissed me for a long time, then turned to Jiangqing and said, how long are you going to watch? Don't you have any sense of propriety? If you keep watching the next scene, it will be illegal. Jiangqing, with red eyes, bit his teeth and left. As soon as he left, Hu Wenxiu couldn't hold back anymore. I rejected his affection. Hu Wenxiu, I didn't agree to get back together with you. Su Huan, I want. The reason I said it was due to your family situation was just an excuse to refuse that scumbag. This past 6 months, I've been about to go crazy. Hu Wenxiu pulled my hand into his pocket. It needs you to comfort it properly. You didn't even listen to a single word I said. But I didn't hold out for long either. Who said I didn't suffer for these 6 months? 16. Through the unanimous decision of the board of directors, I obtained absolute management rights of Jiang Group. I also sidelined all the Jiang family members in the process. The board meeting ended. Jiangqing came to my office. He said, Huan, give me another chance. You're wasting our time. Did you know how painful it was for me to see you with Hu Wenxiu last night? I don't know. And it's none of my business. I couldn't sleep all night. I looked at him. So I'll grant you a leave. Go back and rest well. Su Huan, I really regret it. And I have realized who the person I truly love is. Don't make a fool of yourself, I said slowly and clearly. Jiangqing bit his lip. This is the leave form. I placed it in front of him. Fill in how long you want to take, then go to the Human Resources Department. Jiangqing looked at me, with a strange look. Just like how I used to look at him, strangely, even I doubted he was possessed by a demon. Jiangqing left in a wobbly manner, but after that, Jiangqing kept coming back to me to get back together, apologizing. I couldn't stand his persistence anymore. So I removed him from his position in the group through the board of directors, and he could only get dividends from now on. I also didn't allow the security guards to let him enter the Jiang group building. Finally, he stopped. Not long after, I heard that Jiangqing was imprisoned. The reason was that he accidentally killed Qin Shuer. Qin Shuer couldn't accept Jiangqing breaking up with her. In the midst of a heated argument and struggle between two people, Jiangqing finally couldn't hold back and used the fruit knife on the coffee table to end Qin Shuer's life. Before his execution, Jiangqing asked to see me once. I went. The Jiangqing in front of me had completely lost his former glory, worn out, hollow, a living corpse. He probably never thought that just playing around with women would cost him his whole life. How could he have thrown his whole life away over this? He said, Su Huan. I don't regret killing Qin Shuer. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have ended up like this. So, she deserved to die. Jiangqing, why are you still deceiving yourself? I laughed at him. The real culprit between us has always been you. If it weren't for Qin Shuer, I wouldn't have divorced you, and you would have always been my wife. It's bound to happen. If you don't bring it up, I will. Why? Jiangqing looked at me with teary eyes. Aren't you in love with me, Su Huan? Aren't you the one who has always loved me the most? Do you think saying love is appropriate now? Jiangqing was overwhelmed with tears. He looked at me and remained silent for a long time. It seemed he had calmed down. He asked me, Su Huan, when did you start not loving me? After you started being with Hu Wenxiu? No, I said directly. It started when I had the child in my belly. We had a child. When you first cheated on me, why didn't you tell me? Do you know? But you forgave me. You clearly forgave me that time. Jiangqing didn't believe. I didn't believe that time, so I didn't love him anymore. He said, if you hadn't forgiven me, why didn't you ask for a divorce back then? Because I needed to weigh the pros and cons. I couldn't let you get away with it so easily. I confessed. No, you're lying to me. If you didn't love me anymore back then, why didn't you leave me earlier? You must be lying, right? Jiangqing could never accept it. His long-cherished image of a happy marriage turned out to be a ruin. 17. I calmly told him, Jiangqing, I didn't ask for a divorce back then because I was clear that even if I divorced you, I wouldn't be able to quickly fall in love with someone else. For me, not divorcing you didn't hinder my life. Besides, would you have agreed to a divorce back then? You were just curious about the outside world, not really in love. Even if I pushed you hard, you might have agreed. But I wouldn't have gotten the property I wanted. You could have manipulated it, and I would have lost more than I gained. So, during our marriage, I collected evidence of your infidelity, checked your assets, transferred my own wealth, and even laid the groundwork for my future. It wasn't until this year that everything was settled. By the way, why did I commit infidelity last year? Because I'm not like you. I don't have such shameless courage. I needed a long period of psychological preparation to take this shameful step. It wasn't revenge, just a physical need. I watched Jiangqing, looking at his unrestrained pain. He said, so this year I won't mention divorce. You will, right? Yes. At that time, you already knew everything about the property division and the divorce agreement, so you knew I was serious about divorcing. And then you added more conditions to me. Yes. On the day we talked about divorce. Your red eyes and trembling weren't because you were sad, but because you were too happy. No, Jiangqing's eyes moved slightly. That was because of the whole night of being tortured by Hu Wenxiu. Su Huan, I'm about to die. Why didn't you lie to me? Why? Jiangqing became overwhelmed, breaking down and feeling desperate. Because, you don't deserve it. Jiangqing's tears wouldn't stop falling. The last time I cried like that was at our wedding. She loved calling Jiangqing in the middle of the night, and she would cry as soon as she called. Life is a cycle. I left without hesitation. At the prison gate, Hu Wenxiu was waiting for me. I found out later that the Hu family agreed to our relationship because Hu Wenxiu stopped being frivolous after being with me. He focused all his energy on making money to support his wife. That time the Hu family treated me badly. It wasn't because they looked down on my status, but because they didn't think Hu Wenxiu was worth it, and that's why they agreed to let me send Hu Wenxiu abroad. It was also part of their plan. They had already planned to send Hu Wenxiu abroad for training, but Hu Wenxiu refused to go no matter what, so they took this opportunity to send Hu Wenxiu abroad to open up the European market. If he succeeded, they would agree to let Hu Wenxiu be with me. Poor Hu Wenxiu. He had been kept in the dark all along. And he was even happy and didn't want to return. I helplessly watched Hu Wenxiu holding such a big bunch of red roses in his hands. This person is really desperate. Even at the prison gate he didn't miss the chance to propose